right, all right. Welcome to the Memorial Day live stream. Gentlemen, good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Hello.
Good
Hey,
evening.
what's going on?
Howdy.
Yeah, so
Hey.
this was a live stream that we put together for everyone to watch, and it was actually a request from this gentleman named Robert Chalklab. He's in the comments here. He mentioned, hey, it would be cool if you all get together and do something for maybe a Memorial Day or something like that. So shout out to Robert Chalklab on here for this awesome idea. I asked each one of you to come on and do this on specifically Memorial Day because I think that you all are some of the most influential folks that I know on YouTube, and you put out some great information. I'm like, you know what? I need to be connected with these folks in some way. So I appreciate you all. Cheers to you all, and cheers to the folks who, especially on Memorial Day, who came before us. And I just want to give a toast to these men and women. And if you all did anything today, like visit a cemetery or something like that, I'd love to hear. So just a quick toast to everybody who came before us and who we lost a little too soon.
Yeah, I got an orange Fanta. I'm not sure if that counts.
Drink the orange Fanta, man. All
There you
good.
go. I got a protein smoothie. So.
Yeah.
Oh man, even better. So yeah, I guess we can get into some stuff. If folks want to ask some questions in the live stream, that's all good. I know I'm kind of driving this, but I also just kind of banter between all of us and talk about what we do with our channels and how we're helping out the veteran community as well. Don't all be so quiet, man. I'm the only loose one here. I'm over here sipping my old fashioned. It's all good.
No, it's just
really
crazy to me seeing all these comments go by so fast. It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I did, man. I went to the Veteran Memorial here in San Diego. A while back, I found a set of ribbons, medals, at a thrift shop, and I bought them for 50 cents, and it had a name on the back of one of the medals. And I went and dropped it off at, I actually put it on the headstone of this gentleman's grave. And, I go back every so often just to visit it. I've never seen anybody there. I'd never seen any coins on there, and kind of sad, right? So I just made a thing of it to just kind of go visit when I'm in the area over by, it's at Miramar. So that was what I did today. And it's not a very big cemetery by any means, but it was very packed.
Yeah, usually, almost every single year, my family, I live very close to Arlington National, like maybe 10 minutes away. I could take my electric scooter if I wanted to, right? But usually my whole family, my kids and my wife, we go to Arlington National, which is pretty cool. And then how it's sectioned off, I don't really know how it's sectioned off. I just know that there's a newer area, right? So the post 9/11 generation is generally in that area. And on Memorial Day, that area is more busier than, someone who passed away in 1920.
Right.
So it is a moment for sure, like to see young families, kids there too. But it's good for the kids. I usually take them. They complain that, my feet hurt. So I've heard that probably 50 times a day. But yeah, that's usually what we do. Try and do it every single year. We take the metro in, so it's not too bad.
And that's something they're going to remember for years to come. Like, hey, Dad, you should take us here to visit folks, potentially friends, family that you may have, lost along the way. So it's something that's going to be implanted in their brain, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Anybody
a
else
core memory right there for them.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Absolutely, man. What about you, John? You're up in Italy. Do you all have anything up there? Like, I know that in France, we talked a little bit about France and all that stuff up there. Maybe some cemeteries to visit and all that. But do you have anything up there?
Yeah, France is the spot. That's where all the good, I say good, all the really nicely curated areas are to remember World War I, World War II. I've been to a bunch of those already over the years being in Europe. Here in Sicily, there's nothing American specific. We have a German memorial site not too far from the house, but it's all German. But yeah, usually
I have a German. No, I'm kidding. You know,
Usually it's there's a ceremony on the base early in the morning, usually in front of the high school, and they'll have a bunch of people there. They have the kids out there. They'll have some folks doing singing, maybe a band or something like that, and then just a short little thing. The community is pretty tight knit either way. I had full intentions of going out this year. I did last year, and over the weekend we had a multitude of animal things going on. Had some new kittens, and our cat that had the kittens was just over a year old, and she caught something. I don't know how. So the kittens are about 2 months old, and overnight she basically passed away. So I've been playing cat dad all day today, trying to figure out how to keep the kittens healthy. But no, this year is really I hate it when it's a memorable Memorial Day like year, because this year lost a good friend of mine in the latest conflict that we're involved in overseas. And he was one of the first handful of people that were over there that got injured and killed. So Robert Marzan, just a hat tip and a swig for him. It really hits home. It really hits home when you see a guy who's getting up there in age and getting ready to retire, and he's on his last deployment, and it's in a space where you wouldn't ever expect anybody to get killed unless they had like a car accident or something crazy, which I've seen that as well before in Kuwait and Qatar and some of those places. But to actually get taken out by enemy fire is a little bit strange. So this year is, for me at least, Memorial Day is dedicated to him, to his family, his friends, to all the people that knew him and knew how good of a guy he was. And, rest in peace. Thank you for serving our country for so many years in so many different capacities as a civilian, as an NCO, as a warrant officer, both in active duty and the reserves. Just a great guy. And that's the guy that I would dedicate this show to.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I don't want to force anybody to talk about anything that they don't want to talk about. So if you want to jump in and talk about what you did today on your Memorial Day, that's fine. Even if you went out and did like some barbecuing, please mention it. As
we
people,
do have a psychiatrist on though.
We do on staff, right? So he can help out here.
Not saying, free of charge or anything. Y'all can work that out amongst yourself. But
there you go. We can do some live stream medical advice.
Pro bono.
Exactly. Live stream psychotherapy.
There you go. What about you, Bill? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm party pooper or whatever, but our town that I live in has a Memorial Day parade every year, and I used to go to it, but I find it difficult these days. So I don't go out in public much. I don't leave my house much except for work in the dojo. And so I spent the day building out a new studio. So I bought a nice new 60-inch desk and spent some time running cables and putting together bits and pieces. And I'm worn out. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep good tonight. But that was it. That's how I spent my Memorial Day. I got a few texts from a couple of guys that I served with.
Right on. Yeah, that's good. It sounds like you're going to sleep good tonight, man. It's good. What about you, Raider? What you got going on?
All right. Look, I don't want to be a party pooper either here, but I don't really do much on Memorial Day just because it's kind of one of my polytrauma days. Just short kind of thing. I got injured before my unit deployed and I couldn't go. And the person that took my slot ended up dying. So it hits me every single year. It's something that, like, maybe Doc can help me out with that, but it's something that it's irrational, right? Like it's completely an irrational thought process because once your higher brain function kicks in, you're like, look, there's nothing you could have done or anything like that. But it's still kind of, it nags at me. And it's fine for the rest of the year. But whenever I get around this time, I usually kind of isolate, not in a negative way, but just in a kind of be at peace with myself kind of way, and just honor specifically. But my wife kind of told me that I do need to get out a little bit more, even though I'm an agoraphobe. So getting out is kind of a, something I don't do, but I need to be more social. So on this day, so not to bring anybody down, but it is, that's for me where it can be tough, and I don't mind it if people celebrate, I wish I could. And I'm hoping that one day I can get there. And that's my goal, actually, is that one day I can, it is a active goal of mine to get there to where I can it's not as raw, I guess. I don't know. That's me though.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. It's hard. I find it's hard to get out of the house as well. Even after the service, it's hard to find a reason to get out. And when I do, I don't know if I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there like this. They don't like to be around crowds, too many loud noises, things like that. For one, it pisses me off. For two, it's just like, I can't do it. So either I stay in the car sometimes, or, just let the wife shop or whatever it is. Is anybody else like that? Like they just kind of shy away from all that?
Yeah.
I definitely was
Absolutely.
at first. Probably over the last 2-3 years, I've gotten a lot better. Don't tell the VA. No. As far as like going places and wanting to go places. So for instance, there's this place called Hyper Kids near my house.
sounds
I'm
rough.
telling you, if I go there, it's bad, dude. It's like 12 and under, kids screaming. There's like 300 of them. Parents are just being parents. Some are good, some are not. Places like that are like a no-no. But like if I go somewhere that has like, for instance, church on Sunday morning that's got 300-400 people in it, I'm comfortable there. And so it depends on where that is. Kids, even though there's beautiful little children, the sporadic noises, high pitches, you're just aggravated. Like those doors open up to Hyper Kids, and I'm just angry, instantly. So I think it depends where. I'll tell you this: getting out, I got out in 2019, probably that first 3 years, and that was during COVID too. That was pretty rough. Had some episodes there, not too proud of, but we won't really go into all of that. But it's a lot better now, or not better, just manageable. And then I know where I want to go.
Yeah. COVID
Hyper
destroyed
Kids, dude.
me. COVID destroyed my mental health. Like I backslid so far due to COVID that, I'm fine, obviously, guys. I'm not, any kind of risk or anything like that. But where I used to be able to get out a little bit more, COVID reinforced every single negative thing that therapy was talking me out of. It's like, you're being a good person by not going out and socializing. And it's like, I don't know. I got to get back into it though. Therapy is one of those things that, it's not just a one and done. Sometimes you need the Band-Aid, you need the booster, you need to go back to it. And I'm a firm believer in that, you got to keep trying with it. I don't know.
Absolutely. Even as a psychiatrist, I've done therapy myself, and I think I 100% agree with that. And the COVID thing, right? Like, and you guys probably know this, but it's lack of exposure, right? And that actually sensitizes you more, right? And I felt the same way, where my anxiety was like more sensitized as because I wasn't being desensitized, due to the isolation. And I don't think you guys are being party poopers at all. I'm going to be one as well if we're defined as that. But I kind of turn more inward as well. Like I think for a couple of years, I used to not really try to think about it much. But so yeah, I turn more inward, do some actually meditation, so some woo-woo stuff about folks that I knew. And then what I started doing also is I kind of get overwhelmed if I think about everybody or like groups of people or like statistics. So I try to focus on like one story and sort of meditate on that one person and that one person's story. Again, it's a bit of woo woo, but it seems to help.
I like me some
Can't do the
woo-woo every once in a
meditation.
while.
Yeah, I can't do the meditation, man. Last time I talked to a therapist, he's like, "Hey, all right, think about this." He's trying to walk me through everything, and I'm like, "I'm not thinking about anything. Like my mind is completely clear." And he's like, "Did you get all that?" I'm like, "No, I wasn't thinking about anything. Like it doesn't work for me, dude. I can't do it."
You know,
It doesn't work for everybody. Yeah, it depends, and there's different types of meditation, you know. But some folks it just doesn't work for, you know.
Yeah, man.
I wish you could see my hands, but the one that I like doing, like the meditation,
wait a
because you
second.
can't see my hands. No, but it's the meditation that I actually like doing is where you take the palms of your hands and you put them over your eyes and you try to focus on the black. You try to focus on just, it's like a mindfulness type thing
Mhm.
to where if you pull yourself into the here and now, then you can't be anywhere else in worry or anxiety or anything like that. And that was one of those kind of like you could do it at the workplace. So I used to be able to do that. And people would be like, "Why do you have your hands covering your eyes? You look like you're so pissed off." And I'm like, "No, I'm just meditating."
Oh, I can't do
That's-
that, man. Yeah, I guess I could. I could try right now, but go ahead, Doc. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No. That's awesome. On a funny note, you made me think of, I don't know if anybody's watched Pan's Labyrinth, where the guy there's like an entity that
I don't
has-
want to admit to it, but
Gotcha. but going back to the mindfulness, yeah, I think that's it, right? Like, so talking to veterans regularly, I think it's one of the number one things is not being able to be in the present moment, right? And anything we can do to get back to the present moment is amazing, but it's just hard because we're just so focused on the past and the future instead.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up something real quick, if you don't mind. And I don't want to turn this into a full-on therapy session, but what you all had mentioned and some of the things that you're dealing with, and specifically today, where we're in one way or another, in our own way, we're reflecting on things that happened in the past, things that we've experienced, people that we've known that are no longer with us potentially. I went through a thing, and it wasn't even therapy. It was really just stumbled upon it. And then I tried to apply it to my life as far as bad relationships, strange relationships, and otherwise. And even like things like the loss of my father really, really early. He was 61. And that kind of sent me down this weird path either way. But there was a thing that I had discovered and came across. It was all about forgiveness. And basically it says, in more words than I'm willing to read off of my ring. I have a ring that's got the whole thing written on it, inscribed on it, but it basically says, and it's a thought exercise, right? So you basically, as you had mentioned, to think about one person and kind of meditate on them. And this thought exercise on forgiveness is basically saying, I forgive myself for any wrongdoing I did to you. I forgive you for any wrongdoing you might have done to me, or I might have interpreted as wrongdoing. And, it's basically kind of like, grant me the serenity to do things to, the serenity prayer, but in a more personal one-on-one level. And that kind of back and forth mental exercise between you and that person, and visualizing that person in front of you, and you saying that to them, even if they're not alive anymore, maybe you saying that to them and saying the other parts back, not a one and done thing, as Raider mentioned. None of this stuff is, but it really helped me over time to come to terms with ex-wife, bad relationships in the past, father passing away, losing friends and family, losing fellow, soldiers that I'd worked with alongside of. It really helped a lot with that. And, it's always just like throw some stuff in the tool bag and maybe one day you'll get to use that tool. But that's a good one that I came across. It really helped a lot in a lot of situations.
Oh yeah.
I hadn't heard it explained that way. That's amazing, like that specific exercise.
Real quick, Bill, I gave your channel a shout out today. I went out to I came across this veteran who was asking about some stuff, some claims from like Vietnam vets and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey man, you know who'd be a good one is check out Salty Old Marine.
Wow, thank you
Because-
very much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because you know, your stuff is for like the older veteran generation, right? And your channel's freaking
More
growing,
seasoned.
man. So that's
More
freaking awesome.
Old.
Oh,
I won't say old. I say just a little older than me. He had
No,
questions.
I mean
that
old's
I couldn't
old's right
answer.
in my
Yeah.
name. I mean, come on.
Yeah, good luck with it.
No, but that, yeah, all good. So I told him, hey, check him out, man. He's got some good information for
Thank you.
at least somebody who's a little older than me. Good stuff.
Thank you. I'm starting to find that my the focus of my channel is starting to slide a little bit, and that's kind of interesting. I've been doing a lot of introspection on that.
Hmm.
I started out just trying to help veterans with disability claims based on experiences that I had gone through, and then healthcare through the VA. And now I find that based on my demographics, I'm looking more towards trying to assist veterans with the transition from a working life into retirement, if retirement is in the cards. So I've been doing a lot of research and talking to a lot of people and just kind of experimenting with different things.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been going great, dude. Because I think what it is the authenticity of your channel, right? And for so long, like when I started my channel stuff, and I was doing like transitions and trying to make it like these other big YouTubers. I'm like, no, people don't want that, man. They want authenticity. They want you to tell it straight up how it is. And I think, I mean, I'm kind of stuck a little bit right now, but your channel's blowing up, man. Congratulations to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. I'm humbled and grateful.
Absolutely.
I agree. Like, great job, Bill. And I think that is a really great approach. That niche, going from basically going into retirement, right? And there's such a big uptick of depression, right, after we retire because of that loss of purpose. So that's awesome. And I completely agree with Vic. Like, just the authenticity. To be honest, when I watch your videos, I feel calmer. I feel my heart rate go down, and yeah, so it's very interesting. So yeah, fantastic.
Thank you. I
opposed to-
appreciate that.
As opposed to just going like full speed. I probably need to calm mine down a little bit. I just talk too damn fast, I think.
Well, I've had a few comments from people saying, get to the point, man.
Oh,
And I'm like, the video is 7 minutes long. Is that really the extent of your attention span?
That answer is yes, by the way. It only gets
I mean-
worse. Heads up.
isn't there
I mean,
a
if
button
get
that you
somebody
can
from
press?
TikTok,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you can speed it up. You can.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
2
saying.
times.
Speed it up, man. Yeah.
It's
Are you,
that
Raider, are you on TikTok?
huh?
Did you say you're on TikTok?
No, I was just saying that sounds like a person from TikTok where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you have 7 seconds of my time. Impress me, human.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Like, I don't
But
know.
that's
it's just
like-
weird.
Psychologically, that's how it works. I mean, I'll, for Sean, isn't that how it works? Like if you have like 3 seconds to get somebody's attention, and that's why like shorts are so popular. That's why like TikTok is so popular. The constant changing of the scenery every 3 seconds and keeping the viewer engaged.
I think it depends on your audience. My bad, Doc. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Depends on your audience.
Yeah, it depends on who you're talking to, right? So on YouTube, it's about getting someone into the video, the thumbnail title.
Mhm.
On TikTok, the video's already there. You're not searching. Less than 1% of videos found on TikTok are searched, right? They're just on your For You page.
Yeah.
And so on TikTok, it's about that, I would say 2 to 3 seconds, getting them to stay, right? So YouTube's introing them to the video. TikTok's video is already there. And so that from the get-go, you're kind of starting on different playing fields, right? And then on YouTube, it's getting them to stay, but that comes last. whereas TikTok, that comes first.
How much research have you done on this, Clay?
So my PSYOP days, psychological operations, as a millennial, deployed many times, primarily fighting against the Islamic State on various environments. One of them being the information environment, and they are really good at social media. What's crazy is the tactics, techniques used in that environment are almost exactly the same as how normal Americans use social media. So
really,
that's why it translates. Okay, if you want to talk about influencing ISIS jihadists, I can talk about that all day. But one of my favorite pastimes.
Awesome, man. We can learn a lot from you. You should make a video on that. As far as like maybe growing your YouTube channel, and this is how you do it. Because I mean, your stuff. I mean, I remember seeing yours when it was like half the amount that it is now, and it just kind of blew up.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
It's hard work too.
Day, right? But quitting my job changed it, where I was just doing it as like a side hustle. Once I left the government, it was like, okay, well, now it's different, right? Because I don't have this guaranteed paycheck coming this way. It definitely changes the scale of things, but I think that's another conversation for another time. But yes, influencing Islamic jihadists, very, very similar to getting veterans to watch YouTube videos.
Yeah. All the flames. You got to have the flames in the thumbnail, right, Clay?
That's it. The flames, man.
So what's funny about that is the Islamic State has this whole what we would call a series called the Flames of War. If you want to go down a dark rabbit hole and probably get flagged by the FBI, you should just take what I said and just go. But the Flames of War. And so every time someone says flames, and like when Salty Old Marine was like, gotta have more flames, I was like, man, you have no idea what that does to my brain right now. But Flames of War, man.
I might be willing to take that risk, man. I'm curious now. You've tickled my fancy, man. I
don't have any travel planned. All right, you might be on a no-fly list. So
I don't want to put flames in my stuff. Like, see, my channel's educational and it's dry and it has a specific purpose and it's not flame generated. I know Clay's talked to me about it. He's like, dude, you need to add the flames. And I'm like, I can't have flames.
I made this guy thumbnails by request.
Yeah. Just sit closer to the chimney. You have a chimney there. Just sit closer to it.
But see, that's not the purpose of the videos, unfortunately. Yeah. So I kind of, and I mean, I'll admit that it is a little frustrating sometimes just from a content creation standpoint. Like you'll do a video and it's like I did a video on cataracts, and it's not the sizzle. It's not people aren't, throwing panties at the screen for cataract videos, so I've been told, but
you don't know. You don't know what happens at somebody else. You don't know what I do on my screen when I watch your videos, Raider.
You know what? I take it back. I take it back. But I just like sometimes for me personally, not every single video is going to be just this killer 150,000 view video. Like I'm not chasing that. I'm chasing that if somebody's down and out, frustrated, depressed, sad, and they can't figure this out and they're at wit's end, that's why I make the videos, just so that way hopefully it can be their last line of defense to educate themselves and just do it themselves. That's what I like,
It does suck though.
Yeah, it does suck. It pisses. Yeah. I know where you're going with this. You're just trying to make me mad.
Because Raider and I have talked about this offline many a times. It sucks because Raiders, I wouldn't even say arguably, I would say definitively has the best VA educational content out there, and I'll die on that hill. And what sucks, like
this,
people say rage baiter, they'll say everything but masturbator. That's a good one. Like clickbait stuff like that. That's a joke. My bad. We're
not demonetized now, are we?
Yeah, no, that was like everyone will throw comments at me, and I'm like, okay, sure, but if you wanted pure education, Raider HQ would have 200,000 subs, and he doesn't.
Mhm.
And so I think it's more of a telltale sign as to the American population and how we choose to consume information. And so people can say whatever they want in the comments, but I know what you're clicking and I know what you're not clicking.
And they
So,
keep clicking, right?
yeah.
Because like it's like Lucy with the football.
Dude, y'all gonna get me going here. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
calm down.
I got myself. But it's like Lucy with the football, though. Like you'll see some people that where they don't say accurate stuff, and they keep not saying accurate stuff, and people still watch it. You know, I don't know. Like I've always thought about maybe transitioning to what happens after teaching, and I don't even know what that looks like for me. But I don't know.
Well,
Next.
I saw somebody in the chat saying you could be a Raider instructor, right?
Yeah.
Has that ever been a consideration?
I have been. I've taught
have? Okay.
Raiders. Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I'd have to go back to work for the VA, and my anxiety disorder can't take that. Honestly, there's a lot of different reasons why, but there are a lot of veterans out there that whenever they open up their decision letter, they just shake their head because they know that they had all the evidence, they know that they had a very solid case, and yet still somebody denies it, and then what they write in there is almost absolute gibberish.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a frustration that's shared among staff members and veterans alike, because sometimes you're forced to make those stupid decisions as a Raider. Sometimes QRT forces you to deny people. Like you can't, even though you want to grant, they'll force you to deny. And that never sat well with me. So it's something that I just, not being a Raider right now is probably the happiest I've been in years. Just from an emotional standpoint, just from a self-care standpoint, stress standpoint, like being able to help veterans in a different way is a lot more fulfilling and enriching. Some people tell me they're like, like, when do you sleep? And I'm like, I sleep whenever I sleep, of course, but it's not work if you're doing something that you enjoy doing, love doing. So that's what I like, but I don't know.
Yeah,
That's awesome. No, it's good to hear you say that. I feel the same way when I think about like doing inpatient psychiatry, like in the hospital. I'm much happier not doing that, and I'm able to work with veterans, even though the hours might be more at times, right, than on the in the inpatient job. It's more worth it, and it's not as stressful. People aren't, psychotic, and you're having to
Yes.
you're having to sometimes run, when you're on the unit and things like that. So.
yeah.
That's hilarious, Doc. Man.
It's not. I've been there too, Doc. I've been there too. I've worked on a psych ward.
There you go.
And Doc, you were a flight surgeon, weren't you?
Yeah. So before psychiatry, I was a flight surgeon. Did 4 years. Yeah, good experience.
Good. Yeah, I remember going to the flight surgeon the first time. I think we talked a little bit about this and we laughed about it. I'm like, what? I'm like, they're like, yeah, go see the flight surgeon. I'm like, for what? Like, I was like a PFC. I'm like, a flight surgeon. Like, I'm part of the squadron, but I'm not a flight guy, So yeah, it made no sense. But then I understood, just a regular doctor with a flight suit on. I don't know if you guys ever take flights or anything like that.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're basically a general practitioner, right? So you're doing primary care. You are air crew, so you end up having to do like flight school and a version of SEER and like all this other stuff. But the flights that you're doing, you have to maintain your hours, but I can tell you probably fly like once a month when you're at your home station. When you're deployed, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
What SEER did you do by?
I was just going to ask that too.
Yeah, we did SEER C up in Maine, which sucked, but yeah.
I think that in itself understandably causes a lot of issues, that experience.
Yeah. So I was looking at it, and this is kind of going into, the issues. And I think somebody mentioned psychotic or something. I was looking at getting into like an MSW, a social work, master of social work. The thing that scared me about it was consuming other people's issues. And, you know, because you listen to people, right? Therapists listen to people. I'm like, how much can I take in without it having bleed into my day-to-day life? So that kind of kept me away from that. And, you know, Prashant, I know we talked a little bit about it on the live stream and before, like how do you avoid that? Like you having to talk to folks, even as a flight surgeon, I'm sure that you've talked to people about their issues. Like, how do you keep that from bleeding into your own life?
Yeah, I think you try to compartmentalize, right, as best as you can. I think honestly, it's experience over time, and then this is going to sound bad, but desensitization. So that's honestly what it is. Now, I think I experienced the most of that during psychiatry residency when I was in the hospital, and then during the inpatient job. And now with what I do with veterans, it's less because I see less veterans per day, right? As opposed to on the inpatient unit or outpatient when you're seeing like 18 patients a day. When you think about 18 patients a day, that's insane to me, you know? And it's the opposite of where our medical system should be going. I'm not going to get into that, but you know, I think it does wear on you. And then in the beginning, I think it had a big impact on me and my own mental health. And then over time, I sort of got desensitized to it, which again, doesn't sound good, but that's what tends to happen.
That's where you get the dark humor and whatnot, like for the medical dark humor, because emotional resiliency is another factor, because I'm a licensed social worker. I did mental health therapy with veterans before I went over to the VBA side of the fence, but they used to call us sin eaters. We would eat the sins of others. And you would actually, like, there are studies to where you could have plants in the room whenever in a therapist's room, and the plants would die. And it wouldn't just the negative energy type thing, where it wouldn't matter how much you watered them. It wouldn't matter how much sunlight they got. They would just not thrive in that room. And if you took them out of that room, you put them into an identical room where there wasn't therapy done, they would do a lot better. It's kind of weird, but
wow,
It's crazy.
that is crazy.
I did not know that. That's amazing.
Huh.
Holy crap! Hey,
Hey, Doc,
real quick,
that's a
Bill.
follow-up. Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
John, go ahead. I won't cut you off. Go ahead, buddy.
I was going to ask as a follow-up, once you get to that desensitized state where you're able to deal with patients and deal with the day-to-day kind of sessions that you have, how do you get to the point where you can stay desensitized to not absorbing the information, but then also leaning into humility and leaning into like those other kinds of traits that are good to have as a human, that you don't want to kind of lose?
Yeah, this is you hit it right on the head. And I think that was the struggle, is there's a balance, right? You get desensitized so much that you don't care, right? That's the one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it's to balance that. And I don't have a good answer for this, to be honest. I think what it is what I try to do, and what I try to do still, is I wall off that time and that space, right, in my mind. So I hear this story from whoever it is, and I sort of wall it off, and then when it's done, you know, unless, you know, sometimes that doesn't work, because sometimes I have to research somebody's issue, right? Like, what's the best way to treat this or that? So it's not 100%, but trying to wall it off in your mind and then see it from like a third person perspective, but like, but trying to still stay in it and still be compassionate. And again, I don't have a good answer. I think it's something that I visualize in my mind, basically.
The trouble tree. You ever heard of the
What's that?
trouble tree?
I have
No.
You've never heard of the trouble tree? Okay,
Oh,
you
no.
should
No.
you should Google this. Okay, so it's a form of compartmentalization where it's a story that was taught to us therapists, that you would take, this man would go outside every day and he had this tree next to his door, and every day he'd put his troubles on, and then he would go, and then he would physically go through the motions of hanging his troubles on the tree before he walked in the house. It was a ritual that they would do to where they would actually separate home and work life. And that's kind of like what the story's meant to teach you. But you can do compartmentalization if you can keep your work and home life separate. It's not hard to, like, I have seen, hands down, some of the craziest situations in the medical field, like on the medical side and on the psychological side. I've been stabbed before by a patient. I've had to literally physically tackle a patient who was strangling the respiratory therapist with a nasal cannula to death. I mean, I've had to do really weird things, right? Like, and I don't mean to go here with it, but you just have to keep reminding yourself to put your troubles away, and then like, just do the trouble tree thing where you just like, okay, I'm home now. That was then, this is now. And you have to be in the moment whenever you go home. Like, you have to keep your family separate. A lot of people can't do that, and that's where they lose it. That's where it blurs, and then the person loses that humanity component, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to go here. Like, Bill, come on, tell us something fun.
No, it's perfect actually, because I just thinking like this ties into a lot of what veterans, people coming off of active duty, going into civilian life, or even coming back from deployments. Like, this is one of those tools that's kind of universally, you can transpose the tool onto that situation. Not being a therapist, but being a soldier or a Marine or an airman coming back from a deployment and trying to figure out how to compartmentalize life in general. And I think that's super helpful. Like, that's my golden moment of the whole show right here, is that I've never heard of that. It's great.
It's not psychiatry. I am a pastor in my local church, right? I just had someone this morning that said, I'll try not to. Sent me a text at like 7 something on a holiday and was like, hey, when you wake up or whenever you see this, please call me. This is something happening and they're going through a crisis. And that's just an average day. All right. We have a pretty large church. And so it's one of those things. And I find it in myself, one, I have my own issues. Okay. And then I'm talking to people who don't have the same experiences as me. And so like when someone's like pouty about something, that's like, okay, well, you know, I've seen worse days. Like, that's definitely a thought in my mind. I kind of have to like crunch that and not invalidate whatever it is they're going through just within me. But I find myself speaking to anyone. I think this goes for any veteran, giving any sort of care, you know, especially around a holiday like today or Memorial Day like today. I find that I have to be good first, right? That if I am stable, if I find myself well, I'm able to provide, you know, benevolent care. I'm able to pray with someone. I'm able to meet with their family because, you know, their high school kid just killed themselves. Like, people go through some crazy stuff, man. And I find that if I'm well, I can handle it. The issue is whenever I have like this, like, you know, this episodic depression or whatever it is that I'm going through, like if I'm not well, then I have to be like, hey, I can't do this right now. Right. I have to go ahead and call someone else on our staff. That's a whole other thing. I just wanted to say, like, I think it's better to compartmentalize when you are well yourself. Right. And that well is a roller coaster. Some days I'm on like a pool floaty with a little, you know, pina colada, hanging out, chilling. Not that we don't drink or anything. And then some days I'm like drowning in the pool, right? So what day is going to be tomorrow? I don't know. But if I am doing well, I find it easier to talk to whoever it is I'm talking to. That's going through something that, you know, that conversation is going to lead somewhere, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think somebody in the comments here, Humble Hatter, mentioned you put your oxygen mask on you first, essentially. Yeah. Can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself.
Mask off, then the oxygen mask. No.
Yeah.
Stupid COVID
There you
joke. Whatever. I'm not funny. It's whatever. Okay.
Well,
Next.
and
And
I
real
always
quick,
found-
go ahead, Raider. Go ahead.
I always find that people, like whenever I would do therapy with people, I wouldn't get into very complex or really big ticket items. I would talk about that everybody has a bag, and that's their trouble bag. And their trouble bag is only so big. So either you have to put less trouble in the trouble bag before it overflows, right? Because if the bag overflows, then that's you freaking out and, you know, yelling at your kids and, you know, like doing weird stuff where you're screaming and following somebody home.
Mhm.
So there's two different things that you can do. You can either add more coping mechanisms, which means getting a bigger bag, or you can work on putting less troubles into the bag to where it doesn't fill up as fast or as much. But you also have to empty the bag. And I think the Salty Old Marine has a very good, like you do karate. Is that correct, Bill? You have a dojo and whatnot. Like self-care in that respect, like doing things like that, staying like it doesn't matter what it is. It could be stamp collecting, I don't care. But those are some of the things that I have seen. As long as it means something to you, it helps you empty out your trouble bag at the end of the day so you can start the next day fresh. But I know that Bill talks about a lot of, like, you do things, you know, with your wife and whatnot. I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, you talk about, you know, some of the things that you do, and I find that those are the videos that I tune in to more for, you know, because I want to learn, because I know what I do, right? Like I know what I do, but I want to maybe do other things, and I don't know what other things are out there. I know that sounds like the stupidest thing that anybody can say because I'm a grown man, you know, and I'm like, you can go find something that you want to do, but I'm like, what's Bill like to do? You know, not that I might want to do it, but it just broadens my horizons, right? Like I just want to have more options. You know, it's like knowing more vocabulary, like having a more robust vocabulary. I don't know. To each their.
But Bill, you're like an 8th degree black belt or something?
4th.
4th. Holy shit. Yeah, I only know how to do like black belt McMap, dude. I'm sure that doesn't translate to yeah, that doesn't translate to anything. That's like white belt in Taekwondo, dude.
I just, I got into it about 18 years ago. I started out as a white belt at 45 years old and just kind of kept going. And once I got to my first degree black belt, I started teaching kids, and I got a lot of satisfaction out of it. I remembered back to when I was a kid. Every adult role model that I ever had that was a positive role model, I remember. I don't remember their names, but I remember them, and there's not that many that stick out in my mind. And so I thought maybe the best thing I could do if I wanted to help kids would be not just to teach them how to defend themselves and punch and kick, but just be that positive adult role model, the kind of person that can always be trusted, that never lets them down. And if they remember a positive adult role model, they don't have to know my name. 20 years from now, then I did something good, I think. So that's why I do it.
That's excellent, man. It really is. I mean, I can remember my old, karate instructors who were, I mean, even jujitsu instructors, right? Who played a prominent part in my life, when I was younger. So I think you're doing something great, man. I really do. Especially for the youth that need some direction, especially now.
Also, I get to hit them.
Oh wow! Okay, all right. There's that. It was nice up until.
I wish I could
hit.
Let's cut that out live here.
I'm on the phone. Don't worry, Doc. I got the phone. I'm dialing the phone right now.
No, I interesting you said that, Salty. I go to a lot of conferences for church stuff. Anyway, someone's like, hey, how can you be the best student pastor, best youth pastor, next gen, whatever? They're working with, middle school, high school kids. And this dude sat up. He's just been in the game for like over 50 years. And his one answer was just be a good dad. He's like, if you have kids, just be a good dad, good role model. if you're doing that right, the odds of your life being somewhat in line, you know, I mean, that's your definition of in line might be a little different, but that's, you know, you understand what I'm saying. Everything else will kind of stem from that. And that's what kids will gravitate to, you know, like how many kids don't grow up with a mom or dad in the home, especially a dad in the home. And so they have that fatherly figure. I don't care if it's a student pastor, if it's your, you know, I assume it's like American karate, type of place, swim school. I don't care what it is, man. Just being a good dad from the masculine side, obviously being a good mom on the mom side of the house too.
Yeah.
I think kids notice it, man. They won't say it, but they know, they definitely know it. Right.
Yeah.
I can't even pronounce that. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna try.
I can't pronounce that either.
I'll fall out of my chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to live
Definitely, yeah.
vicariously. Like being an agoraphobe is a very weird experience. So I have to live vicariously through others. So like I watch a lot of YouTube because that's how I experience the outside world a lot of the time, unfortunately. I know that sounds really horrible, but it doesn't bother me at this point in time. Like I don't mind it.
I don't know if I'm an agoraphobe. I'm not even sure how that's defined. I don't like going places. I mean, I don't mind going to work. Well, I don't like work, but I have to go. I like my dojo, and I plant flowers in my gardens, and over the years I've just started going to fewer and fewer places outside of my house. I just don't want to. I don't know if that's agoraphobe. I don't know what that is. It just don't want to.
It's
Something about leaving like my safe place here is my office, right? This studio here. It's like got the widescreen. I can watch YouTube videos, do my homework here. It's hard to get up and go outside. It could be a beautiful day outside, and I just don't go out for some reason. I have to force myself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, I've got 30, and I'm not exaggerating. I've got 30 security cameras around my house, and I'm constantly upgrading them. And I've got AI doing work on them, and it just it's interesting. There was a kid a couple of houses up the street that apparently ran away, and the police were looking to see if anybody on the block had like Ring door cams. And they knocked on my door and they said, "Hey, you got a lot of cameras on your house." And I said, "Yeah, what do you need?"
Yeah.
So I was able to find when the kid's boyfriend pulled up in a Camaro in the middle of the night, and she piled in and took off.
Wow.
Because the parents didn't believe she had run away. They thought she had been abducted. So it's like, well, anyway, but yeah, so
Female high schoolers, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm past that.
That's like
stage.
my number one problem in my life right now.
I mean, I get the whole not wanting to go outside, but like there's a reason why I have an avatar on here. If you saw my actual skin color, I could land planes if I waved my arms outside. Like if I walked outside, I'm so white, like planes would start to actually turn towards me and go, "There's the runway right over there." Like I need vitamin
Show up on the
D.
IR.
Yep. Just like, what is going on? I'm so pasty white. Like,
Oh
I
no.
don't know.
I think you hit it right there. Like I think agoraphobia, and I like definitions. So I think a lot of folks think that agoraphobia is not going into crowds or public places. It can manifest as that,
Yeah.
but agoraphobia is it's defined as the fear of not being able to escape a
Yes.
situation, right?
An irrational fear. Yeah.
Exactly, irrational fear that can even cause severe anxiety or panic, right? In that situation, and then it leads you to this isolation, and
The isolation is the byproduct of it. But yeah, and it's one of those situations where if you say it out loud, it sounds like crazy talk, right? Like it's like, if I go here, then something bad's going to happen. And it's like, okay, how many times has something bad happened when you went there? None, but it doesn't mean anything in my brain, like, I don't know. Like it is truly like a very sad disease. Like it's horrible. I wish that there was more attention to agoraphobia because it creeps up on you and you don't notice it until you're locked in. your brain. Like, and then once you are, it can be rehabilitated. I mean, it's not like, you know, losing a leg or something like that. You know, it's not you have the ability to rehabilitate from it. I'm looking forward to revisiting my rehabilitation of my agoraphobia.
Absolutely, and I think it goes back to that sensitization, desensitization thing. And I know you know this. You worked as a therapist, so exposure therapy, you know, things like that.
Oh yeah, but the like swinging on people, like that's the problem with exposure therapy with somebody that feels like people are going to attack them, is that you got to be arm's length away. You know, you can't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's why everywhere I go, I'm in the warrior stance, dude, just in case. Just in case, you know, people look at me like I'm crazy, but
Starbucks.
I'm not the crazy one. You're the crazy one, you know.
He's at Starbucks, just fists up, just like
That's it. That's it, man.
We get too close. You know?
I walked into the little diner today, just walking like that, just 2 steps forward, 2 steps forward. That's it.
Did you
Just
yell
2
Marine
eggs
Corps time?
and a cup of orange.
Yeah, and then
Marine
there's
Corps.
always the break fall, right? The break fall. Oh,
Yeah,
shit, I almost knocked
nice.
something over here.
what makes the green grass grow?
I'll tell you,
Oh, no.
talking about exposure therapy, man. You know, when we're meeting clients, veterans, there are some I know I see their claims, and I like, okay, I know what like we've been in this business long enough to know what conversations are going to come out. There are some times where I even told Raider, I'm like, dude, I do not want to meet this person because I do not want to talk about like they are, you know, Afghan vet in 2010 and there's a PTSD denial. And I know exactly like where that conversation is going to go. And like we've traded veterans before where I'm just like, dude, I don't want to meet this person. I need you to just take it, you know? And then all 3 of us will definitely take me days a lot. Raider takes a lot of me days, right? He needs to get back to working. No, I'm totally joking there. But yeah, exposure, man. Sometimes it's sometimes you just have to force yourself, and sometimes Raider's like, no, Clay, you shut up and you will meet those veterans. I'm like,
You sit down when you pee.
So, that's a great thing you just brought up there, because I'm wondering, like, I know you guys just started this whole thing. We don't have to get into like the boring claims or anything like that.
we
but-
shouldn't because intake's down. So,
Okay.
but you can. But
But I mean,
go ahead.
like how much of your day does it actually take? Like, has it become like a full-time job now, or like you're putting in overtime?
15, 16 hours every day.
Oh wow.
Every day. And that's not that's not an exaggeration. That is 15 hours, 15, 16-ish every day since what? Really before April 20th. It was like the end of March. We got through that bucket there. There's just, I mean, there's a lot more to this stuff other than meeting veterans, and people don't understand that. But I don't know how much you want to say, Raider. I'll just leave the ball in your court. Go ahead.
No, I mean it's fine. It honestly, like, that is one of the unsung like things that people don't understand, like veterans don't understand, is that Raiders day in and day out get their own level of desensitization. Like, if you want to talk about sometimes where are the opportunities for people to top sheet your claim, and where are opportunities for people to disagree with the way that you claim something, having to read people's trauma experiences day in and day out as your job sucks beyond all recognition. Like, that you can't escape it. Like, if you want to put food on your table, you've got to continue to read it. And some people get away from it by not reading the stuff. And that's where you can get a lot of top sheeting, is where people don't want to get into people's heavy trauma. Like, I was a MST coordinator for a long time, and I would have to read everything that happened to individuals time and time again. Now, I have a high threshold for emotional resiliency, to where it takes a lot to get through transference where people's emotions transfer onto me. It takes a lot for that to happen to me. So, but other people aren't as resilient, and for them, like, they just spiral. Like, a lot of people, that's why there's a lot of turnover in the VSR and Raider community, is because they can't take it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with other people's trauma, and it just sucks. But
Yeah.
that's like in terms of how helping veterans and whatnot. Yeah, 15-hour days. You know, looking at pictures of your family because that's all you can see is pictures. But no, like still trying to put out videos and whatnot. You know, still trying to help the veteran community be educated on their own. You know, trying to get those flames into those thumbnails like Clay wants me to, and
Oh no.
we're gonna get there sometime. We're gonna get there.
Surround yourself with a bunch of chimneys. Just put a bunch of chimneys everywhere. I'm telling you, man.
We, you know, before we launched, myself, Raider, and Blake, we all agreed and committed to and understood, hey, the first 6 months after April 20th, like our lives are just gone.
Adderall.
Like if we are gonna do this, yeah, there's a little prescription, RX Adderall, in case you're curious. But just for the record, you know. But if we were gonna do this, you know, like we all agreed to kind of making that commitment, and it's so nice. Like on intake, I was definitely working on the front end longer than anyone, but now on the back end, Raider's definitely putting in more hours than I am, and it's it feels good. You know, it's good work, and like we're doing long days, but then at the end of the day, I'm gonna submit, like this week I have to submit a PTSD claim for someone who's getting severed, which is like, okay, imagine being exactly what Raider just said. Imagine being the Raider that has to sever this PTSD claim. Like if you have any sort of emotions behind the keyboard, you're gonna ruin this dude's life, you know? And so now we get this severed PTSD claim, and I'm trying literally everything we can to reinstate this claim. And it's a lot of work, but it's good. Like it's good work, because I know if this person specifically is connected, his life is going to change, not just mentally but financially as well. So,
and we can't
Good
own
work.
the outcome. So like as much as you want to celebrate with the veteran, you have to hold a certain amount of you have to hold it in. Like you can celebrate with the veteran to a degree, but you can't like over celebrate for the wins and then under celebrate for the loss. You have to have a pretty like even keeled approach to it, to where you can't like, I don't want to like, yeah, you did so awesome, and oh, sorry, dude, it sucks for you, you know, type thing. And you have to watch out. But I find it just as rewarding. Like I know Connor in the chat there, he's I think he's a Raider or VSR, but I don't know which one he is. But there is a certain kind of like, oh wow, yeah, we got this veteran service connected type thing. The evidence did, right? Like because Raiders they make very few decisions, but like the evidence got them there. And it's awesome when it happens, but I find it more rewarding on this side of the fence than I did as a Raider, because we're helping to advocate for veterans. And each person on this panel advocates for veterans in their own way. Like, so, I mean, it's like everybody does it. But I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah. No, all good and good information. I want to ask you all about your military to civilian transition, because I know that can be tough for a lot of folks. That can be. I see Bill over here laughing about it, but it's something that John and I have been talking about for many years. But I say many, 2 years now? There you go. You give me
OG, man.
Yeah, OG, the tricolors, man. No, so I really want to ask you all, like, what did you experience? And I mean, are you still in that same mindset where you're still trying to find out who you are and your purpose and your mission, going from whatever you were in the military to now the civilian side?
Yeah. So can I talk on this for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I actually, I'm not trying to tout my channel here, but I just filmed a video about this. I titled it, I took off the uniform, but the uniform never took off me. Basically, I mean, I got out in 1985. So, I mean, how long do you have to be out before you don't wake up anymore thinking that you're back in boot camp standing fire watch, or you think you're out there in the field, you know, eating sea rats and hanging out with your buddies, or going to town and getting crazy, getting a new tattoo. You know, how long much time has to pass before that stops being a part of your life? And I mean, it's difficult for me because I feel like, look, that was such a short part of my life. I mean, it was only 6 years, and I'm 65. How could that small amount of time have made such a formative impression on me that it forms like the core of who I am? You know, I think of everything in terms of how I would react in the field. Some of you guys saw a video I made some time ago. My wife and I were driving down the road, and somebody took a BB gun and shot out our back window. And first thing that I did was I told my wife, floor it, you know, hit it, because, you know, we're being ambushed. And as soon as we got around a corner, I jumped out. She's like, what are you doing? I said, defensive perimeter. I wasn't even armed. Okay.
They didn't know that.
That's the reaction, you know.
You had your hands, right?
Maybe he had his
Knife
knife
hands.
hands, okay.
Yeah. So no, it was just it never ever leaves. You know, when I go out and mow the lawn, I'm wearing my cami pants. You know, I still got my boondockers. I still got my closet with all my stuff ready for wall locker inspection. Yeah, it's stupid. What am I doing? Yeah, why would I even do this? This is crazy, and I don't understand it, but it is what it is.
I don't think it's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think that's
not,
stupid at all.
I don't think that there is a time frame either. I mean, the amount of vets that we have talked to, I mean, it is a significant part of your life, right? It's the significant chapter in there. But a question that was posed to me at one point was when do you fully transition to the next chapter? And I don't think that folks who have put in significant time in the military or any time in the military, I don't think that chapter always goes away. It stays with you. It's part of your life story. You know, you always remember it, becomes a part of you. So it is tough. It is tough. Go ahead. Anybody else who wants to chime in on it?
Yeah, no, just wanted to reflect on what Bill was saying. I think that's huge. And you know, I'll make a joke about Air Force, right? Like, so when I think about Air Force versus Marine Corps, right? And here's the thing with the
It's a
Marines that
wild
I've
thought, but
seen.
I'm ready for it, dude. I'm at my warrior stance. Go ahead.
So Marines, like from when I was deployed, and you know, being attached to several different units, and then working with veterans now, I think there's like two things that I think about with Marines. First of all, the time that you're in, right? And I don't mean to single out Marines only. I know this can apply to other branches as well, but the time that you're in the military is a very critical time. You're still developing as a young adult, right? Our brain fully develops by age 25. And then on top of that, Marine Corps Marine training, right? Like kind of like just destroying you and building you back up, right? The crucible, you know, all these things that it's almost like reshaping your personality in a way. And what I've seen is that folks who are Marines are always Marines, you know.
Yes.
There's that, right? Like that identity never goes away. I'll be honest, like in the Air Force, yes, I still have that identity, but sometimes I think back and I kind of remember it like a business almost, you know, like a company, right? Like a corporation, you know?
Yeah.
And yes, there was camaraderie when we were deployed, but it's not the same, you know? I think there's a distinction there. And I know it can be applied to some of the other branches too, but I just wanted to say that, like that, or see what you thought about that.
That could
Yeah,
be. There's definitely a lot of indoctrination that goes on.
There is. And, you know, I just noticed, Prashant, everybody else here is Army and Marines, right? You're the only Air Force guy?
Yeah.
And we put you in the middle.
One of
There
these
you go.
things is not like the other.
Yeah. And, you know, and I mean, you're both right. I think Bill is right too. And I mean, we can hear from the Army side as well and Clay, but I mean, there's so much indoctrination that goes on in the Marine Corps. I mean, to this day, I walk into stores. I'll walk into Walmart and I'll look at people and I'm already pointing. There's a big judgment in the Marine Corps. Like you're constantly judging people because they are either out of shape or this and that. And I'm like, oh, and then when I feel like the pants get a little tighter, I'm like, okay, well, it's time to PT. It's time to do a little something. Even though I'm not going to do any weigh-ins anymore, you know, that's implanted in my head for some reason. So I don't know if that's ever going to go away. You know, I went through that today, as a matter of fact. And you know, and Clay, I'll let you chime in on this as well. I mean, you're also a Marine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no, I'm kidding. There's a lot to it. So in 2019, whenever I got out, I was at that point, I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. I was divorced, had 2 kids, every other weekend type deal. And when I got out, I had 60 days of terminal leave, which, right, whenever you're in, you're like, yes, I have 60 days of terminal leave. My life is amazing. And so you get on that leave, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't have anywhere to live. And so I talked to the barracks manager, who was also my friend, and I was like, hey, I got out yesterday. Also, can I stay in this room? And she was like, yeah, sure. So I stayed in the barracks for about 2.5 months after I got out of the Marine Corps, which was just weird. Like seeing my peers, it was kind of like degrading too, you know, like when you get out, you're supposed to like move on to this next chapter. And then the next day I was in civilian clothes. Everyone else is going to work and they're like, hey, what's Sergeant Sim still doing here? And it's like, oh, I'm just failing at life. No big deal. But please continue. Right. And I thought I was okay.
As you were.
And then I went to interview, didn't get a job. It was the last 2 weeks of terminal. I'm sweating at this point, dude. I'm talking like I've never experienced panic. Within that last like 2 weeks of terminal leave was definitely the highest anxiety, like consistent anxiety, not like up and down. And I had this last job interview and I was like, dude, if I don't do this, like I'm going to go sleep in my mom's basement back in Kentucky and just be a nobody and go work back at Culver's or something. And just fast food, fast food it and GI Bill it up. And then I finally get this job. I ended up moving into this dude's place who was having it renovated. So that was weird, which also sucked because I'm living in a condo that's getting renovated. So that was miserable. And then I think life kind of hit really, really hard, man, like being divorced, having 2 kids and every other weekend type deal, having a home that really wasn't suitable for kids. And then it's like, I got to figure this out, dude. Like, what am I doing? I was this close to going back into the Marine Corps on the PSYOP pipeline. It was a little different back then. You could have became PSYOP like that with experience. They were taking all the OG psyopers got out, and so there was a huge influx, and I was so close to doing it. And life just sucked, dude. Seriously, like it was like that until probably 2022. I'm going in and out of treatment. I'm dealing with VA claims at that point in time. I am dealing with the drama that comes from being divorced, which is just, a walk in the park. Good times, dude. And then I'm dealing with like this whole identity crisis. And it's like I had all my uniforms, my ribbons, my medals were perfect, stacked. Everything was perfect. And I was like, I just couldn't let go of the Marine Corps. And eventually I had to throw away, I guess I didn't have to, I had to, like up here, I had to literally throw away all my uniforms and all my Marine Corps stuff. I kept everything I have is sitting right here. But I had to throw all that stuff away just to kind of like be like, yo, like I'm done with this. I have to move on. And that moving on chapter for me, I can honestly say I have left the Marine Corps in the past for sure. And I think helping veterans really helps me with that personally, right? Helping veterans in one way or the other with the video or, what we used to do or what we're doing now. That definitely helps. But I think I can pretty confidently, and I don't say it in an arrogant manner, but I think I have left the Marine Corps behind in a lot of that. The main reason for that is probably the church. We won't, I don't want to take over this podcast with that, but that for me, like a change in identity, really like my foundation was changed, so to speak. So now I'm able to build up from the foundation without having the Marine Corps as my foundation. And I think being in the infantry, I can only speak on the infantry in the PSYOP world. I will tell you my first 5 years just pumping, deploying back to back in the infantry in the Marine Corps. It is toxic would be an understatement. Okay. It is really that it's that type of environment for that type of reason. And this was, the height of the Helmand province in Afghan. And so I don't know, it's just different. And being in that environment, I always tell people I drank the Kool-Aid, but like, man, Vic and Salty, I know you guys know what I'm talking about, like that, those infantry Marines that are just born to be infantry Marines. Like once you hit that, sergeant level, you really have to be like, hey, am I an 0369? Like, is this going to be my career path, And then your brain kind of twists and you become the enemy.
That's a defining moment, right?
Yeah.
That's a defining moment where you get so many infantry folks who go in lateral move, meaning they go through different MOSs, should they choose, because maybe that's not their calling,
Yeah.
But then if you keep it going,
they become nuts, dude.
Yeah.
The craziest people I've ever met were staff NCO, we call them 0369s. It's your E6 and up infantry Marines, and they're all nuts. And I mean that both medically and as a joke. So they're all crazy, dude. Doc, you got a lot of work to do down at Camp Lejeune on Steve Street. Okay, you got to get down there, dude. These boys are wild. But man, for me, like it took a change of my like foundational understanding of identity to be like, yeah, I left the Marine Corps behind. Right. So now
it's not easy to do, man.
No, it's not. But maybe when I'm 62, I'll find myself in Salty's shoes, just being like, you know what? Maybe I didn't leave the Marine Corps behind. What do I know? It's only been, how long is 19 from 26? It's only been 7 years. I got out July 4th. July 4th, 2019, Freedom Day. That's what I call it. So,
there you go.
Pup.
There you go.
Pup.
Yeah. So I'm curious to hear from some of the Army guys.
Okay. Early 2000s is whenever I got out, and I'll be honest with you, like for me, the military was kind of a PTSD type situation to where my memories don't have a timestamp on it. To where for me, my memories do not feel like they were in the past. Like they feel like as fresh as a flashbulb memory or something like that, to where they're just, and Luna's gonna woof now. Okay, it's fine. But they're just as fresh as they were. So for me, that makes it hard to leave them in the past, is because there is no past, unfortunately. It's as if it happened yesterday for me. And it's kind of odd that it does that. And also the E4 Mafia. Did you guys forget the E4 Mafia? I'm a card carrying card holder here. Okay.
Still got my card.
Like I will tell you what, if somebody called me up and found my phone number and they were 2 states away and they had a flat tire, my ass would be in the truck driving to go help them with that nonsense. Like that type of camaraderie of, yeah, I got the shovels. Did you get the lie? I don't want to go too crazy with that, but like
statute of limitations, man.
Yeah, it's just very weird because you can I've never had a circumstance before the military to where I can go 6 months to 8 months to a year without talking to somebody and then talk to them as if it was just yesterday that we started talking. And it never, you can just let the friendship go, pick the friendship up, let the friendship, and they don't care. Nobody cares. Everybody involved understands that this is how this works. It's the E4 rules. And I don't know. For me, it's different. It's hard to let go of the rigidness of the thinking like projecting my own beliefs onto others. That's one of the problems that I have, is like, I have a very, and this is me, I'm just going to share with you an honest fact. I cannot stand incompetence. Like, incompetence to me, I would be, somebody could do something really bad to me, but if you're incompetent, I can't forgive that. Like, you have got, like, I don't know. There's no therapy for it. Like, I think it's brain damage at this point in time. But the military gave me this really weird thing. I know. It's okay. We're talking about incompetence. I know you don't like that too. She doesn't like that either.
Trigger words.
It's we definitely, she knows that daddy gets upset about that, and it's fine. But no, incompetence is just like, that is a trigger point for me. Like, you can be anything. You can be wrong, you can be right, you can be whatever you want to be, but don't be incompetent. Like, in medical situations, I know where it stems from. Actually, I've traced this back. Somebody was deeply injured in the military, and everyone was freezing around me. Like, nobody acted. Like, they all froze. And I'm the only one that started to act. And then the sergeant came over, and they were like just screaming at people. If you're going to be you're either going to be a participant in life, or you're going to be a bystander. And I don't got time for bystanders. Okay, you're going to get somebody killed. Get out of the way. Let the participants get in here. And that's one of the things where, like, Doc, you can attest to this. Sometimes, whenever people are in high stress situations where medical, people are dying and whatnot, that kind of stuff ingrains in you, and you sometimes can't not turn that off. And I have that problem, unfortunately. Some of you guys will see it in my videos sometimes, whenever like somebody will say something and it bothers me, and you can tell it bothers me in my videos. And that's it pushes on that button, and I don't like that button, and I got to stop myself. Like, my wife needs like a turn off my computer button whenever I'm about ready to start a video or something. She's like, and then turns off. I don't know. But yeah, for me, that's, talking about the military and, whether or not I've gotten past it, I think for the most part I have, but it's always there. It never leaves. And that's why, and I hate to even bring him up, but Lieutenant Colonel Gade, whenever he says that he doesn't want to be a veteran or something like that, that's why I get so upset at him, is because, like, it was such a powerful time in my life, good or bad, right? It was a mixed bag of just horrible things mixed with awesome things. And when people say that they don't want to be considered a veteran, it really bothers me. Like, that's your choice, of course. Like, and like, you don't have to be like me or anything like that, but I find it fairly, like, more disrespectful than it should have been taken, probably.
I think, no, you're spot on, Raider. And I think the context of him saying that was on this moral high ground of who deserves benefits. And it's like, okay, well, you're saying you don't. I mean, what he's saying is, I don't identify as his identity in veteran was mixed with that, who he believes should rate VA benefits or not. And it's like, well, you're taking that a different route. Like, he's saying one thing while saying that. So
yeah,
pretty wild.
Easy for somebody to misunderstand, though.
Absolutely. And somebody who doesn't identify as a veteran maybe should not be involved in influencing policy on veterans.
There we go.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. There we go. What about you, John? What you got?
Yeah, that was a great elephant in the room moment right there. Non-veterans voting on veteran bills. Myself, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this today, actually this whole week leading up to this day. I figured we would probably discuss some of the stuff. But especially today, thinking back on my time in service and kind of just going back through the chapters and trying to figure things out, and thinking about folks on Memorial Day. I feel like I was groomed, and I like what Salty said about those childhood mentors, that you can't remember their names, but you remember who they are, and they impact your life deeply. I feel like that couple years in service, whether it's a couple years, 20 years, or 30 years. Like there's specific times within that service that you also run across a handful of people that deeply impact your life, for some reason or another reason. I grew up in Scouts like my whole life, basically. And from, Tiger Cubs to Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, etc. So I feel like I've been surrounded by the military the whole time, and literally, quite literally, the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years of that was literally like next to an Air Force base. Like all of my scoutmasters and people that were involved in scouting were all, military veterans, just the same kind of mentality and that training for going out and surviving in the wilderness and learning how to take care of yourself and learning how to tie knots and learning how to use a knife correctly and learning how to shoot weapons and learning how to fold a flag. Like those basic skills that I grew up with, I feel like they groomed me to be like it was a natural transition to go into the military. So then coming off of military service in 2021, I guess, I've said this before, but I'll mention it again. Like I literally took that last 4 or 5 years of my military service, and I knew I was going to get out at a certain point, and I kind of knew like what the target date was. And I really sat down and I mentally put myself through this scenario where I was like, okay, I'm going to mentally prepare and start acting like I'm already retired before I get to the point of retirement. But that could work in another situation where you're getting out after 6 years of service, the same kind of thing. Because I knew that it was going to be a big jump going from, 10, 20, 25 years of military service, deployments, and all that other fun stuff that it entails, and then switching over to civilian life. Because I knew how hard it was coming back from a deployment to come back to regular civilian life. So I figured the military transition to civilian life was going to be similar. So I literally started preparing myself for about 4 or 5 years before that. I don't feel like it was that big of a shift. And lucky for me, I was in a similar situation where I found myself jobless for about 3 years after I got out of the military. So I had a lot of time to think. I had a lot of time to sit down and write. I had a lot of time to go over things. But like I said, I spent a good portion of the last 4 or 5 years just kind of mentally preparing myself already for going into civilian life. But as far as getting to the point where you leave that behind, I don't think I'll ever leave it behind. And I really want to tie it into what Raider said about being even keeled, making decisions about stuff on as far as people, celebrating them or not celebrating them, and having that even keel of almost a stoic kind of stance. It's like you're not overexcited, you're not underexcited. I incorporated that into my lifestyle as well when I was thinking about transitioning out of the military and getting to that point where I got out. So for me, it was like, it wasn't this big celebration. Like it was literally like, here's your 214, it's signed, and now there's the door, and see you later and enjoy the rest of your life. Pick up your, your veteran ID card in a couple months or whatever, and turn in your CAC. So I took that, and I took that mentorship kind of piece, and I wrapped that all up, and I'm still figuring it out. I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I completely figure it out, but I feel like things like this that we're doing, helping veterans, putting YouTube videos together, spending hours on nights and weekends, figuring out content, or doing a live stream on a Sunday every Sunday for the last 2 years or whatever, spending time gathering the communities together and then figuring out how to get, a whole bunch of YouTube folks together who are also veterans, who are also out there helping veterans every single day. It's a mission that we weren't given. It's a mission that we chose to do. And I feel like that's, like in Clay's case, it's, he's going down the seminary path of learning how to be a youth pastor or youth leader. in the church environment. I feel like this is another one of those ways that we kind of get to a sense of normal and get not past the military, but get to the point where we can have another sense of purpose beyond the military service. And we put on our own kind of uniform, our YouTube uniform, or our, you know, helping people out as a VSO or whatever it is we do, to just go beyond, because that's the natural transition in life, right? You start out as a student and then you turn into the teacher. And I feel like we've made it to that point once we've got out of the military. Like now we're the teachers. Now we're the ones who should be helping other people learn how to get beyond service, learn how to get their BA ratings up, learn how to figure out how to use VRNE, learn how to, you know, go and get help at the VA clinic, whatever it is they need to do. So I feel like that's the thing that's really keeps my head above water every single day. And it gives me the drive to continue on and be excited about learning more about civilian life, learning more about how to become a civilian, how to be out in public with people, how to navigate the world of idiocracy that you deal with every single day, whether it's in traffic or in the line at the grocery store. That's my North Star. And that's kind of how I've basically learned to integrate. And it's a continually learning process. It doesn't ever stop, I don't think.
You said something that I think stood out. Whenever you got your DD-214, there wasn't a big celebration. You kind of just, you know, I think it's a realization of the Marine Corps will go on without you, or the Army or whatever. It's like, okay, well, I guess it wasn't that important. You think I'll say about myself, okay? I thought like I was, dude, I am keeping this PSYOP shop together. And then you get out and it's like, okay, well, you were actually a nobody. And the machine is going to run just as well without you. And then you start realizing when you join the civilian world, whether that's the job, the workforce, whatever it is you're doing, it's like, wow, nobody cares about what you did. Like literally no one cares that, you know, I turned 19 in Afghan. Next week after that, got in our first L-shaped ambush. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? 19-year-old kid in this L-shaped ambush. And you're just like that experience, no one cares. You know, like whenever you go into the, like, no, literally no one cares. And then you figure out, at least I had to figure out really hard that you are not that important. However, and I'm just saying this to everyone, however important you think you are, just spoiler alert, you're not, right? And I think the quicker you're able to come to terms with that, I think the not better, but easier you'll be able to assimilate back into that civilian world, right?
Yeah.
So
It's
like
like
I try to tell my wife. Yeah, like my
Go ahead.
wife has worked for the same company for like 18 years, dude. She's wild. And she's made it. She's pretty high up there, man. And she works just as many hours as I do now, you know, 14, 15, 16-hour days. And I'm trying to like tell her, like, dude, your job will run. She works for Northrop Grumman, major contracting company. Northrop Grumman will run. If you died today, that machine will run as if you never existed. And you know, coming to that reality, that's a big pill to swallow, dude. And I think a lot of veterans, specifically because of the sense of purpose, really have trouble with looking at the mirror and be like, I guess I'm not that important, you know. And so I really find therapy in like serving others in various ways. I'm not talking about YouTube whenever I say that. So
I
that's
think
what I'm saying. So
real
you're not that
quick.
important. Sorry.
So, real quick, I also think it depends on how you left the service. Because if you chose to get out, that is not the same like one of my trauma things is being at one of the major Army medical centers and taking x-rays of people who have been blown up by IEDs. And every single day looking in their eyes and knowing that they know that they have no future in the military. Like, whether or not you're med boarded out, like individuals that were med boarded out, there's a difference there, okay? Because something was taken from them. I was med boarded out because of my injuries and whatnot, but individuals who are med boarded out, I think, have a completely different perspective on it than people that just said, you know, I'm done with this. You know, like, I am done and I want to go over here and work wherever I want to work. But that's a level of trauma that the military does not account for. Like, yes, there's a little bit more mental health therapy. There might be more physical therapy. There might be more integration with the VA. But the loss of role, loss of function, loss of purpose, in my personal opinion, is woefully under addressed for those specific individuals. And like, there's a difference there. Like, there's a spectrum to, in my personal opinion, there's a spectrum to how people got out. And like, there's a lot of anger, you know, like there's nowhere for that anger to go, because a lot of the individuals that got out on med board, they felt like, I'm going to do this for 20 years. I'm going to do this for 25 years. I'm going to do this for whatever. And then somebody, something, some issue took that from them. And then how do you put your life back together after that? And that's the question. Like, I spent a lot of time in the VA therapy world, working with individuals on that level of, what do I do now? Yes. PC coffee, being med boarded out feels like being tossed out like the trash. That is a common theme. And like, look, man, I was med boarded myself because of my injuries. I get it. Like, and you know, like the salty old Marine, like, if you want to do a video about this right here, like, this is a topic that we need to address. Like, as a community, we need to address, because it runs deeper than you think. Like, that particular trauma of being med boarded, because how many people, like, I have seen individuals who have begged to stay in. They don't care. Like, they'll do anything. Like, and it's very, 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 very frustrating. So I think that there's spectrums to it for like how veterans view different things. But I think for that one particular topic, there needs to be more done, like for veterans. I don't know. I don't want to get too heavy with it, but I just see an opportunity to help more veterans understand that, you know, change, you might not ask for this change, but the changes happen. How do we roll with the punches? How do we take everything from the military, and how do we utilize that to be successful in the civilian world? Because the cards you were dealt are not the cards that are going to keep you in that uniform, unfortunately. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I jump in for a sec?
Bill, go ahead, man.
Okay. I'm sorry. I got a couple of things I want to say. First of all, Clay, thanks very much, man. When you see my video in about 2 weeks, it talks about the machine. I filmed that yesterday. Okay. I did not steal this idea from you.
I'm just surprised you're scheduling 2 weeks in advance, dude.
You're a machine.
Amazing.
No.
The machine.
I filmed it 2 weeks ago. It probably won't drop until
Oh.
August. I've got like 50 videos stacked up.
What?
No, I'm not joking. That's my back.
Can I pay you to consult me on
That's my backbench.
Really?
Anyway, but I just made that video, and I actually used the term the machine about how when you're an essential part of that machine. And then your time comes and you're out, and the next person gets absorbed into that machine, and the machine just keeps on rolling. It doesn't care that you're not there anymore. So you're absolutely right. And I actually, for some reason, I used that exact same analogy. Now I want to mention something about something Vic has been talking about on his channel recently. He talks about stoicism. And that happens to be something that I have a certain acquaintance with. I really like reading about Stoicism and Marcus Aurelius and a bunch of other things like that. It's interesting to me because Stoicism is really how the military teaches you. Stoicism is the military in many ways, and we carry that with us going forward. And that's part of the reason, whether you've got PTSD or whether you don't, that's part of the reason that we suck it up. We keep moving forward. We minimize the pain. We don't talk about our problems. To put it the way my first sergeant used to say, stop being a little bitch. Well, I mean, that's the way it was, right? You put your pack on, you saddle up, you get on the road. So what I've begun thinking about recently is that Stoicism serves military people very, very well. But when they collide with VA healthcare, when they run into the brick wall of VA disability, Stoicism becomes their enemy, because not being able to talk about it, not being able to open up, not being able to admit that you're in pain or that you're hurt, being afraid to show anything that might be considered weakness, the fear of letting your unit down, letting your people down, letting your battle buddy down. All those things stop you from making your issues known in a way that can be examined and rated and treated properly. And so that's a transition that I think is going to be very, very hard for many of us, regardless of what type of injuries we're suffering or whether we're just trying to seek, healthcare and retirement or whatever, right? We've got to learn to kind of move past that stoicism. Now, last thing I want to say, and then I'll shut up. Raider was just talking about getting med boarded. I was not med boarded. I served my time and I got out. But just to keep it brief, I came back from Okinawa on what they call W-95 orders. What that meant was they kept me a little bit past my normal discharge date so that I could serve the full year in Okinawa. So when I came back, I was past my due date to get out. So they just sent me straight to SEPS platoon, and that was it, right? So we spent a week in SEPS platoon, and when they put people in SEPS platoon, I was at Camp Pendleton, and it was with people who were being thrown out with bad conduct discharges, people who had been court-martialed, people who were just getting out like me, and they treated us all exactly the same way. We had 4 formations a day. If you were a half a second late to formation, they'd take a strike instantly, no questions asked. We went on work parties all day, every day. We picked up cigarette butts. We cleaned latrines, the head, as you guys, and they marched us everywhere with troop handlers. So we didn't just diddy bop over there and then, pick up cigarette butts. We got marched around like we were recruits. And at lunchtime, I'm not joking, the troop handler would put us in the provost marshal's holding cell, and then we'd get fed sandwiches. Now, basically, what they were telling us is that we were very worthless people. We were traitors to the Marine Corps for getting out. And that's how they treated us. And the day I got my DD-214, I was riding my buddy's motorcycle. He loaned it to me while I was processing out. I went out the back gate on one wheel and holding up this finger because I was so done with it. So, there was some feelings there is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All right, I'm all done.
Some strong feelings there, man. No,
some people should be leaders, even in SEPS platoon.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You're going to have that toxic leadership like that anywhere you go in the military, man. And just like Clay said, some folks are not built for that. But Prashad, you were going to say something.
No, I'm just speechless by how, Bill, you were treated, and that they grouped you all into this one group, and gosh, yeah, I'm sorry that happened. It's and how do you, it's like, all right, you go through that, and then all of a sudden you're out, right, in the civilian world, and then you have to figure out what to do. No transition, no guidance, no advice, no paternal figure, right, who can actually like sort of help you through that. I think that's crazy. And what you guys overall were talking about, it made me think of sort of in terms of the transition and what to do after, it made me think of this book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I think,
Frankl.
yeah, exactly. Some of you guys I've talked about it with, but it's such a good book, right? And it goes back to what John, you were saying, is that we need to search for that meaning or purpose in life that's going to keep us going into the next phase, right? Into the next step. And this book, which I recommend to anybody, whether you're a veteran or not, but it's written by a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. So he was actually in a concentration camp. He survived. But that's not the only focus about it. It goes way beyond that as well. And it goes into his philosophy, logotherapy, and it actually ties in with what Vic, you've talked about, and I think we talked about, is ikigai, which is the Japanese term for finding purpose in life, and how we need that. And that also kind of ties in actually with Bill, your focus on folks heading into retirement, right? And now them needing to find a new purpose in life as well.
Yeah, Ikigai is excellent, man. And any vet that I talk to, any service member that I talk to who is going to transition out of the military, they all kind of have the same mindset. Like, I got to jump straight into a job. I don't know how I'm going to feed my family. I was there as well, going through, just like Clay mentioned, that TRS, that TAPS was like, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do after that. I mean, mine was only 3 days long. And I'm like, how do I transition from a 20-year career in the Marine Corps within 3 days and then become a civilian like that? That doesn't equate. So Ikigai is huge. Like, I came across that book and all the teachings and all that. And essentially what it teaches you to find what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And within that, you can find your purpose for being. So I talk to folks about that all the time. I mean, John and I do the same thing on the Military Retirement Podcast, where folks are like, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm like, well, what do you like to do? You want to be a woodworker? Are you good with, concrete? Like, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? What can you be paid for? What would you enjoy doing? If money was no issue, what would you be doing right now? And they're like, oh, I guess, it kind of leads them down, or I don't have all the answers. It just kind of leads them down a path, and that's something that has definitely helped me and helped me find my purpose now after the uniform.
I got a question for you, Doc, right? And I think it does go into the transition talk too. Raider and I were talking, I don't know, last week. I mean, we talk every night. He whispers sweet nothings into my ear every single night as we're on BBMS looking at veterans'
stories.
places.
Telling stories. That's proud.
The conversation came up, and it was right. So we have veterans who are 100% right now as clients who are just submitting every claim under the sun, and we're looking at this like, what are you doing, dude? And we can see their claim time. They've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. And that's not, I'm not making that up. Okay. That's a thing. And it got me curious thinking, like, if you're serious about doing your own VA claims, it's going to consume a large part of your life. And the question I wanted to pose to you is like, man, like, do you think there's an addiction to the VA claim process, like as a veteran who's learning this system, who's working the system? And I don't mean that in a fraudulent tone. I just mean playing by the rules and regulations that the VA and Congress has set, daily. And then like being recognized for, your right index finger, which if it's service connected, it's going to be 0% anyways. But I'm not kidding. We got 100%ers who want things connected that don't matter. And I'm curious, it's not just one person. There's a lot. It's enough to be like, okay, what are y'all doing?
Like and the fight. Like they're addicted to the fight. They're addicted to the conflict. They're addicted to the fight. Like, and they didn't plan, like they set in a long-term goal, and then whenever they get rated wherever they feel like being rated, it's like they don't know what to do. There's a cliff at the end of this goal. Once they get there, there's nothing for them. Like, they don't know what to do, and so they just keep doing it to their own detriment.
mind you, like to their own detriment. People will file the weirdest things that will screw up their rating. And it's
Yeah.
like, please don't do that. Please do not file that claim. I beg you. Like, I
Yeah.
get the principle of it. Like, some people have a principle issue to where they're like, look, I don't want major depressive disorder. I want PTSD. I want them to admit that they caused me trauma. And I'm like, okay, but that's not how that works, right? Like, that's, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but carry on.
Yeah, so I guess the question, Doc, is like, is that an addiction that I guess you see on you because you're in the space as well, right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
This is a good question. So I'll be honest, like I don't see as much of that because I am mainly dealing with, these mental health claims. Usually folks are not 100%, if somebody is 100% and they're seeing me, it might be through a law firm for like aid in attendance or something like that. So it's not as common for me. I believe you. I'm just saying that I don't see it as much. So this is good information for me. Now, as I'm thinking about this, the first thing there were a few things, but the first thing I thought about is what Raider said, which is it's a principle for a lot of folks. They want it to be recognized because when you look at, once you're at 100%, there's no secondary gain, right? From adding on another condition. If, maybe there is.
SMCs. SMCs.
Oh,
Like,
SMCs. Yeah. That's a good point. So I guess aside from that, or like, okay. So
if
how about the
if
conditions?
FMC is not on the table, like I'm talking like
Oh.
someone's claiming a right index finger or just something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
something they're not going to
0%.
pass away from there, because sometimes people claim things just in case they're
Yes.
going to pass away from it. But we're talking like things that have no bearing on it. They just want another go. They want to punch another time at that VA. They just want to hit it again.
Yeah, so I think part of it is principle. They're like, they caused me this. I want them to recognize it. I want it in writing. But there's something else, and I've thought about this, but I wasn't able to really verbalize it or understand it, is that there is an addiction to the system and to understanding the system and sort of continuing this fight. It's kind of like what Raider said, continuing the conflict. And that can, from what you're saying, that can become the person's purpose, right? The purpose in life is to continue that pursuit of these other conditions that they want to get connected as well beyond 100%. Monetarily, it's not going to benefit them at all, but it continues to get them to log into, the portal, check, upload new evidence, new information, gather, strategize, personal statements, supporting statements. There's like this whole thing around it, right? Because, submitting claims is difficult, right? And it's a whole process. So I can see that becoming a thing. And then going deeper, like, okay, you got to watch YouTube videos about those conditions. You got to read up about those conditions in the CFR. And maybe that becomes the purpose in a way. Maybe an unhealthy.
Because they've been doing it for years, right? Like most veterans, like the average veteran, I don't have any statistics on this or any paperwork to back this up, but you're looking at probably 10 years minimum that most veterans spend in this really abusive relationship with the VA.
Yeah, I got a follow-on
Don't laugh
question
at me.
too. No, that was, dude, I'm telling you guys, Raider drops some really funny jokes every once in a while. Not all the time. He's not really a funny guy, but every once in a while he's got some. No, but here's the bomb. And I think it's more related to transition too. And speaking for myself, like whenever you're getting out, assuming you missed your BDD claim, like I didn't even know that existed. Failure on my TRS people, but whatever. That's a different conversation. Right, you're getting out. You have this abusive relationship with the VA. Do you think, or not? Do you think is it a thing where you're studying all this stuff? You want to do your own claims. You're talking about PTSD and MDD and all these other disabilities, physical, mental, whatever. Do you think it makes you more sick because your life, like learning the claim system, if you're really going to learn it, it's going to consume a lot of your life. And like I meet with veterans who I don't have the credentials to say this, but it's almost like they made themselves more sick as to how obsessive they have been, rightly so, to be rated by the VA, and it's like this self-licking ice cream cone of they're fighting with the VA, they're getting out, they have all this other transition life responsibilities, but then they're making themselves more sick because they're so obsessed with this PTSD claim. And it's dude, it's a really weird world for veterans who are
it's
fighting
bizarre.
the VA. Like
Clay,
there's
you should
a
you should
component
check
to
out
that, man.
you should check out the Adlerian theory. Kind of it you keep yourself in that cycle, right? Like you in that mentality. Like
Yeah.
I recently I don't have the book here with me. It's called Courage to be Disliked. We just talked about it on the last live stream, and it's great. It's like an old Japanese lesson. It's essentially a philosopher talking to a youth. That's the way it's structured, like a dialogue. But they talk a lot about that, like keeping yourself in that same mentality because you are seeking to remain within that trauma. So very interesting. Not saying that it's completely right, but very interesting. It's called Adlerian theory. German psychologist from maybe the 60s, 50s.
As long as
Very
it's not
interesting
from
stuff.
40s, you know.
What's that?
That's a bad joke. It's okay.
But there's also like a financial incentive involved too. So
Mm.
like you're constantly reinforcing and incentivizing this staying on the merry-go-round, as you would say. You know, like you got to stay on the merry-go-round. You got to stay on the merry-go-round, and it's constantly reinforced with financial support, like being a good provider. Can you imagine being a veteran who is disabled enough to where the VA benefits are their only source of income? You know, like it's this, I don't want to say revolving door, but it's a merry-go-round types thing where I feel like, and I also blame the VA a little bit here because the difference between 90% and 100% is so freaking drastic. They need to make it to where every single percent is equally distanced from every single percent. Like they need to stop with this 90% with this balloon payment at the 100%. Like, stop it. It's $1,300 difference, for the love of mercy. That's a big deal to people.
But
It comes with other perks as well when you hit the P&T, right? Isn't like
Yeah.
property taxes and all that? The car,
Well,
the license plate.
state benefits, you've got state benefits, you've got federal additional benefits, you've got the DEA for the family, you've got Champ VA for the family. Like you've
Yeah.
got, and if they just spread out the benefits to where, oh, you get Champ VA, but you know, you're 50% service connected, you get Champ VA, but they're only going to cover 50% of your fees and whatnot. Make it to where it's even spread out across the board. And I think that people wouldn't obsess about a certain percentage over other percentages. I don't know, but
Now,
I
like
digress.
I've seen many
Question.
pages, like even on Facebook, right? Folks who are at maybe 80, 90%. And it seems like if anybody is at 80 or 90%, they're shooting for that 100. That's all I see online. I mean, do you all see that as well? Like, is that like a normal
can tell
thing? Like,
you-
if some-
The veterans that have the most denials are 90%.
yes.
Because
Yeah.
what happens is
Hands
they hit
down.
90, they see the golden sun, you know, and then they just submit. I'm not kidding. We
Oh.
can see when they submit claims. They hit 90, 15 claims. And I'm just like, okay,
17
understand
disabilities on each
what's
claim.
happening here, you know. Yeah,
Spaghetti
the most
hitting that
denials
wall,
are-
you know.
We're at 90.
I
After
That's
don't-
rough, man.
Yeah.
I should say,
I don't
after they hit
blame them.
90 is the most denials.
Yeah, I don't blame them for that. Like, I don't, right? Because it's like, once again, it's about reinforcement. You reinforce that, okay, these things were granted. This makes sense. 2 + 2 = 4. This happened here. This happened here. I also have these other things that happened here. But there's this education gap where a lot of veterans, whenever the VA math starts kicking in, well, I'm 93%, right? Like, it should take 2% to get there. No, it doesn't. Or I'm 85%. It should just be easy to get there. No, it's not. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
there's thoughts
there
that,
is-
that have come up, Doc, that I think I would love to just hear your expert psychiatric opinion on the spot. Go, no pressure.
No, you know, just to go back to what you were asking, like the re-traumatization, I guess, right? Like you're
Yeah.
saying like people become more ill, right? Like more obsessed with the process and more anxious. It kind of goes back to like when you're doing trauma therapy, if somebody's mood is very destabilized, right? Like they're really not doing well with their mood, so they're in maybe like a severe depressive episode, you don't want to do like processing therapy of their trauma, right? Like because at that point they don't have that emotional resilience to withstand that type of therapy. And so you want to save that for a different time. And there are some people where you might never want to do that, right? Because going back to that maybe destabilizes them too much. I do think that folks going through the process and, you know, applying or reapplying or whatever, higher level review, there is a re-traumatization that occurs because they have to go back over everything. They have to say, okay, how else can I prove that this trauma occurred during service? I have to go back and think about it. So all the triggers are coming back, right? All the symptoms are coming back. I have to go back and find somebody who I served with who might have known about that trauma. And then yeah. So I mean, I agree completely that it can make the person have more symptoms, right? Just to be able to get that thing connected.
Do you see it
yeah.
physically? Like if I have back pain and I'm focused on this back pain for so long, not that my back condition has changed, but I will make myself believe that my back hurts more than what it actually hurts. More than that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Psychosomatic.
Like more sick
Mhm.
in every way, not just mentally.
Yes. So what, and Raider just said it, like psychosomatic pain. So psycho is the mind, right? And somatic is the body, right? And the body and mind are connected. And when you, this is why the reverse of this concept works as treatment for chronic pain. Okay. And this is involved in like biofeedback and a few other things. But when you obsess over this one condition or that pain, the pain can actually intensify. I'm not saying that's fake. I'm not saying that that pain is real. That experience of the pain is real when you're overly focusing on it. But yes, that is how much power the mind has, the brain has. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think veterans, Vic, to get back to the point, veterans going through a transition, right? That first like 5 years from military to civilian, dealing with this, making themselves more sick, albeit for a good cause, whatever, the outcome's still the same. I think it's something in the transition process that I'm pretty sure no one talks about because I don't know, man. It's just
No, I mean,
very hard.
That's a great
world
topic.
that we're in. So
Yeah,
thank you,
it's a
Doc.
great topic. And I know Prashant, we've talked about this in the past when we had the live stream as well. The mental state that like the word disability puts you in, and the word like for me retirement, right? It really affected me in that I stopped doing things that I normally would do, like going out to PT and stuff like that, because the word retirement to me is like, oh, I should be laying on the beach somewhere. And then going outside to try to go and PT again or doing things that I'm supposed to do to stay healthy. Oh, well, I'm technically disabled, right? I have a disability rating, technically disabled. So maybe I don't have to do these things anymore. And that is a mental block that I've had to get past as well. And I'm wondering if anybody else has ever had something like that mental block where these words, these things just remain in place and keep you from doing or being your best self.
Oh yeah, like being rated like 70%. I've been open with my ratings. Being rated 70% for mental health, like arguably I shouldn't be married, right? Like that's your relational social aspects, and I don't know the science on this. I'm just going to speak for myself. I have to try really hard to stay married, you know, and try really, really hard to be a good dad. Where some days I just want to go full Kyle and like punch a hole in the wall or break something. Like there's definitely those moments, and that would be on like the small end of the scale though. But like, yeah, it sucks, dude. And so how do I be like, okay, I am 70% mental health. How do I not let that block my view of not being a douchebag, for lack of a better term, right?
Hey, yeah, and one of the reasons why, and I think probably all of us have talked about it at this point, that the name needs to be changed.
Yes.
That really needs to happen. That's words carry meaning and power. And I'm so sorry, guys. I do have to hop off. I apologize that I have to hop off early,
good.
but thanks so much, for the talk, and thanks for everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Later, guys.
Sean, man. Thanks for coming
Nah,
on.
You're awesome.
Thanks for hanging out with us, Doc.
You are awesome.
Thank you. Thank
Look,
you, guys.
I'll be honest. One day, I want Doc and Salty Old Marine and myself, and maybe all of us. I don't care. I want to make a video game that helps people with PTSD. This is going to sound really stupid, but you know how, like, I want to create a desensitizing video game. This was my thesis for my master's degree. I want to create a video game that incentivizes players to do actions and behaviors that are somewhat normal, like driving near the trash bag. You get extra points, like on the video game type thing, to where you don't avoid the trash bag. You get extra points for doing that. Do you kind of see where I'm going with this, Salty Old Marine?
Yeah, but I'm not that guy.
Yeah, you gotta create the video game, dude. You gotta do it. We'll all get equal shares, man. I wish somebody would do that. Like,
Well, now that you let it out of the bag, somebody in the chat's going to take it now. So
that's fine, but this is
That's
forever.
all good.
This is forever.
Yeah.
So I get
I'm
first
like,
dibs.
light up that bag, man. Light it up.
No, like no. You can't light it up. No. Do not shoot the bag.
you
Wait,
gotta
does the
start
bag
from,
have flames or
level-
no?
No, there's no flames. It's just
No
over there.
flames.
Or
Okay, just
backfire. Like
Until
gotta
you
just-
finally get the veteran to do the good behavior, and then bam, that trauma triggers them again. It's like, haha, psych, we're going the other way.
No, but like exposure therapy, like there's so many scientific studies that the VA kind of does for veterans with like the science of mental health and the science of physical trauma is evolving over time. Like they're coming up with new ways to treat illnesses. They're coming up with new ways to treat things. I just think that it would be kind of cool with the generation that we're kind of working with, the kind of online digital generation. I think that it would be very interesting for them to create a biofeedback video game that would help them, that would help veterans, because they do it with VR currently. Sometimes they'll do exposure therapy with that. But I think it would be nice to have like it, because we talked about it like way back in the day. We talked about a video game that could be used to train service members on how to identify IEDs. I trained on this, where they took us through a 3-dimensional room type thing, and we had virtual reality, and then they would train us on like how to identify threats and whatnot. They need to do the inverse of that, where they teach you they civilianize you back into civilian world, I guess is my thing. I don't know. I think it would be cool, but
Dude, there's we call it the ISMET. Do you know what that is, Vic? Are you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
The indoor rifle range. Yeah.
Yeah, so the ISMET, there's the rifle range one. That one's whack. There's like the 50 cal, the 240. There's you're in an MRAP, you're in a turret. It's
Yes.
essentially it's a immersive, not VR.
yes.
It's immersive training simulator. That's awesome. There's one for the fires community. Whenever calling down fire, doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I could totally see there being a mental health version of that, because that's what you use for training, right? And if you're using a system like the ISMET for training, is there a ISMET equivalent on the healthcare side? I mean, I don't know, dude, but if you figure that out, I want share holding.
Yeah,
order
no, with
that one
everybody. Like, we just need to get backers, because honestly, if you could make it to where there was some kind of like tournaments, financial incentive, like you have to get buy-in from the people. Like nobody's going to, if you drag somebody to something they don't want to do, they won't find any benefit in it. But if they become muscle memory to undoing the bad muscle memory, because think about it this way, coping mechanisms in country served you well. Once you leave country, those same coping mechanisms, they're no longer needed. They're antiquated, they're outdated. They don't necessarily help you thrive in the civilian world. They might let you catch a charge or something like that, you know, like you might get arrested one night. But it would be interesting to have that particular, like some kind of immersive therapy that way that incentivizes you to want, like maybe even financial incentive for people, because that brings people to the table. But it's something that I'm hoping that the VA, like I really wish, and I'm going to transition into this and I'm sorry, I really wish Doug Collins would do more of this, where he talks about how the VA, like that's what I want to hear from him, is how is the VA helping individuals with this disorder or that disorder or this disability. I wish he would do more of that. And I don't know. But that's my 2 cents.
Well, I'll tell you what, Raider, and I'm glad you brought this up. I didn't know that this was floating around up there. I'm doing a master's in behavioral psychology, and I recently connected with the psychology department over at UCLA. I sat down and had coffee with these two, the associate professor of psychology and another PhD who does algorithms for that department. And so right now they wanted to connect with me via, this whole veteran thing that we do and talking to vets. And they were interested in like a veteran. They're doing a friendship study right now. They built an algorithm to see how well people mesh together, mesh well with somebody else. Kind of like a dating app, but like for friends, right?
Okay.
So I kind of introduced that, like, hey, what about something like for vets, right? Like some vets don't know who they mesh well with, and it takes them through an algorithm, and then you would have to do the work behind it and actually meet up for coffee or go fishing or whatever it is and see how well, and then it reports back how well everything's going. So I mean, if you're interested in doing something like that, I can pitch this over to them, where we can get together and talk to them about potentially doing something like this, because they're switching from like the civilian friend side, and then they got a hold of me. They're like, hey, we want to go full force in with this veteran stuff. And sure enough, when I looked up some peer-reviewed research from this lady, and I saw she's in UCLA. She's like two hours away. Let me get a hold of her. And then we sat down for some coffee. They came over here to San Diego and, just talked about it. So definitely something that could happen.
I mean, I just think it would be quite interesting, especially for individuals like myself that appear to be more trapped within their home than they shouldn't be. But could you imagine if you had like VR headsets, like the government would send VR headsets and whatnot, and you had a special program that you could have one that was just for therapy, but you could also have one that's like more of a social group therapy, where it's like, hey guys, today we're going to climb the pyramids together. And you go, how if you go onto Google Maps or Earth or whatever, and you can look and see, like you can go there and see the camera type thing. I just think it would be cool because there's no threat there. There's no stress there. There's no confrontation possible. There's just, like, hey, look, how many 10 people want to go, ride a roller coaster virtually or something like that, or just have fun together, reach out. I mean, for me, YouTube is that social interaction. Like I'm a lot of people go to my channel. A lot of people talk to me, that's my social interaction. If I'm being quite honest with you, like if I didn't have this, then I wouldn't have any social interaction. But I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of more things that I don't believe that and I don't want to be negative with this. I believe that the VA is helping us, but I think sometimes we have to help ourselves, and we've got to come up with our own interventions, and we got to dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in, unfortunately, to the best that we can. And if we can't, then we reach out our hand and we let people help us out of that hole. I don't know.
Yeah. The only thing I'd be afraid of is becoming too dependent on that VR. And so for me, it's about the human interaction, right? Like human connection. So I do like a veterans of coffee thing, and I meet up with vets nearby, I just had one who happened to fly in from Texas, and he just happened to be here. I'm like, hey, let's meet up. And it may seem scary to some, but I kind of got to know this person. But it was cool to see somebody who I talked to online, and then meet them in person. Like, hey, press the flesh for say, reach out and shake the man's hand, give the dude a hug, be like, hey man, it's great to meet you in person. I also get bogged down on YouTube as well. So that's the scary part is how can I get away from that and then actually have that human connection?
Yeah, what Raider said about helping yourself, I think the VA, I'm a fan of VA healthcare, okay? I think they're very good at treating symptoms, not necessarily the cause or the root issue, but they will definitely give you you ask for some medicine, you're going to get some medicine, all right? Or physical therapy or whatever it is that I will bet my life on. And they're really good at that. What they don't do is any sort of holistic healthcare whatsoever. Yeah. And I think what you said, Raider, like you have to, like you said, do it yourself, or I forgot what you just said it, but like the ownership of your holistic healthcare, it is on the veteran, right? And you should not rely on the VA for holistic healthcare, because that's not what they're doing, right? If you want to treat a specific issue, they're really good for that, right? And I use the VA quite regular, at least once a month. Go to VA DC. It sucks every time, but I don't think it like holistic healthcare is just, it's different. So
it is.
The VA is not doing it, and I think veterans ought to take more responsibility. People get mad at me when I say things like that, but I think the veteran community should take more responsibility on their own healthcare, because no one cares about you except you.
More than,
and you're not that important.
I just wish there was more like weight management programs, like free gym memberships by the VA. That would be cool, right? I mean, obviously, cool. if you're in Italy, right, it's going to be kind of hard, type thing. But like if weight management's such an issue, then maybe a free gym membership to the gym of your choice, or if you have limitations, I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more critical thinking and problem solving in how to work around the treatments, right? Like working with veterans, like if the veteran community is resistant to something, like if obesity is a major factor, then if you hit a brick wall, you can't just stand there and look at the wall. You got to go over it, around it, under it. You got to figure out a way beyond it. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping 2027 becomes that year. I hope that because I know that Doug Collins is doing a major update to the VA, right? To all the background technology and all that kind of stuff. I'm really hoping that 2027 turns into the year of expansion on therapy, be it physical or, like different kinds of treatments and whatnot. I'm really looking for that. And I'm hoping that comes out.
That would be great. I mean, they have the VA has the VA Move program, but you have to do the steps to get there to get the assistance, right? But a gym membership and just hey, have you logged in, so many days a week, something like that would be beneficial instead of just going through these 90 days of whatever classes and nobody wants to sit through.
Yeah, the Move program is like being forced to go to a group meeting that you don't want to go to, right? And think about rural veterans, hey, your nearest healthcare center is 120 miles away. You want to go to 120 miles away and go walk around with some other people? No. Sorry. It makes no sense to me. I don't know.
They start building some mobile gyms, just haul a gym in the back on these quad cons or something.
Dude, I know they got hit gyms out here with pull-up bars and stuff.
Let's do it. Let's just do some veteran VA style. Hey, let's get a truck, go visit some folks.
I do think, for the record, I should say I'm not active. So that's, you guys take that. Y'all, I will see y'all at the gym. That's great. I will.
I mean, but whatever it is, give them medication management for it, give them the Move program, but more options. Veterans deserve more options. They shouldn't be if the options are the the options for the civilian world should mirror the options for the veteran world. And I don't sometimes like, and I personally feel this way, and if somebody disagrees with me, that's fine. I'm tired of being a second class citizen when it comes to the type of care that I get at the VA. Like, I don't mean to be a jerk face or nothing like that, but why is it that my children can get medications that I can't? Why is it that they can get care that I can't? Why, like, I don't know. I thought we were supposed to get like the best care. The VA has the best care. Well, if it does, then that should carry the civilian world. Surprise! Surprise!
Surprise! No, so I'll tell you I'm connected with this gentleman. He's he's a VFW commander here in SoCal, and he's a retired Navy SEAL. And I won't share too much of his stuff because I know he'll be running for this position here soon. But the idea here is to at least turn the VFWs into these holistic centers. So there's going to be a lot of pushback because, as I understand it, how it was explained to me was, there's a big, drinking culture or at least bar culture, and they don't want, older generation doesn't want the bar taken out. And he wants to turn these things into like holistic yoga studios and things like that. So at least he's getting pushback at his level right now. So I'm curious how it's going to go, but it sounded great. Like they're, kind of sitting around and they're going to do acupuncture, have somebody like a masseuse on staff. They're at the VFWs, meditations, things like that. Cause I think that's what a lot of the younger generation is seeking. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go, but that may happen here in California.
The issue on, not to target VSOs, but oh boy, do I have a bone to pick. I've been talking with VSO. I started the channel with Del Craig Graham Veteran Foundation, accredited VSO out of Oklahoma, did online stuff, talked to high national leadership in VFW. I've just been in that circle, and a theme that always seems to raise to the very, very tippy top is people talk about change on the VSO level. No one wants to pay for it on the VSO level. They're also operating on 501c3 funds. Like, I totally understand it. But then you look at how much they spend on advertisement for memberships and mailing. The American Legion spent $33 million on postage, and that's not, I didn't just pull that out of my butt, like that's a real number. But I think it's not just change, which is good. It's paying for that change. Not to dig on what you were saying. I just think it's another layer of, it's another mountain to climb. So
yeah,
VSOs are great.
If I could wave a magic wand, though, like, 2026 is pretty much, for me. But in 2027, what I wish is I want to see more, and it doesn't have to be directly from the VA, but more like veteran focused, like dialing in the things for veterans, like helping veterans. What's the positive thing? Like, can you list 10 things that the VA or other agencies are wanting to do that help veterans more than they did in 2026? Like, that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm not like talking about a handout per se. I'm mostly talking about interventions that can make it to where, why does somebody have to become morbidly obese before the VA wants to actually start doing something about it? Why does your diabetes have to get to 9.6 on the A1C level before somebody wants to do anything about it? What happened to preventative medicine? Why can't we have more preventative medicine, preventative interventions, and not be reactive? Be proactive, not reactive. If I could wave a magic wand, that's what I'd ask for. Because some veterans have situations where they honestly, they don't have a disability yet, like a secondary disability yet, but the VA, in my personal opinion, will let that condition slide until it becomes a disability, at which point in time, now it's a secondary disability that somebody can claim. versus something that was acute or transitory that could have recovered itself. Did we lose him? The salty?
Oh, he had mentioned that he had to take off.
Oh,
Yeah, all good. I mean, we'll it was great to have him. I mean, he provided some great information on like the older generation as well. Really
See,
enjoy Salty's
I'm not allowed
videos.
to say old. Trust me, they get real mad about that.
Oh, okay. The
Season.
more we'll call it
More
vintage.
season.
The vintage. Yeah, the vintage generation.
On that note too, Raider, I would still argue a lack of responsibility from veterans for their own health care. And I even say that for myself. I have issues that I should seek treatment for
yeah.
that I'm not. Right. Just straight, if I'm being honest, I know what I should seek treatment for. Mental health would be one of them. I've left the VA mental health care circle probably 4-ish years now. And I know I should have more responsibility in doing it, but I'm not going to. And I think, although I'm the only one saying it, I think millions of veterans fall into that same bucket too.
Yeah.
Where the responsibility of healthcare is not the responsibility, the priority of seeking healthcare, taking time out of our schedules to go to the VA. Like for me, I'm 12 miles away from VA DC. You know, it takes me an hour to get there because it's Washington DC. That's not a joke either.
Fly there.
Even on my bike, dude, like taking easy express lanes, it takes an hour. But yeah, responsibility doesn't, or not responsibility, prioritizing healthcare is not a thing in the veteran community. And I think I'm pretty confident in arguing that.
Yeah, and I just think that if we had more options, then it would probably lead to more opportunities, honestly. Because if you have a one-size-fits-all type thing, you're not going to have a lot of buy-in from people, right? Like, and being proactive is not the VA's forte. Like, they are not proactive in many capacities at all. And I don't know, like getting like here seems to be the theme: get veterans integrated with the VA, not meet the veterans where they're at and actually design a treatment plan based upon that veteran's needs. That's not where they're at. They're about getting more people into the system, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, they got to increase their VA budget every year, and to do that, they got to have clientele, which happens to be veterans. So,
yeah.
And real quick, guys, I wanted to get into some of these questions. We can't answer all of them, right? I mean, there's so many, but I just starred a couple of them on this. Oh, here goes starred a couple of them on here. So here from Navy Cop here, I'd be interested to hear. Oh, well, can't hear from Doc Sharma now. He's we'll get back to you, Navy Cop. I promise you.
That was an easy
We'll ask
one.
him.
Next.
Yeah.
Good question.
Let me see here. I know we got one from Joshua Pinkston. Yeah, right. Can anybody explain how long helpless child claim takes? Is there a CMP exam for the son or daughter?
No.
So helpless child, basically you have to submit all the evidence up front with your claim, and then what happens is that the rater reviews the evidence and they determine whether or not the veteran or the veteran's dependent became helpless before they turned 18. So it takes as long as it takes. It's actually kind of a quicker, there are no exams for it because there's no percentage to be given out. So there's no reason for it. There's no medical opinion either. It's it's a fact. Either they were helpless before the age of 18 or they weren't. So it's a black and white issue. So as long as you submit all the evidence, it takes as long as it takes, but it's generally quick.
Awesome.
Finally.
All right. So that one was for Joshua Pinkston. There's another one here. If you want to answer that one, I have a CMP exam in the morning for dry eye syndrome. Anything to expect other than eye exam?
I mean, Raider will talk about the exam. I can tell you that if connected, you're probably looking at 0%. So just don't be so anxious about it. Breathe a little bit. as far as the exam goes, Raider, take the dry eye exam.
Just take the dry eye exam. I've never actually been to a dry eye exam. I want to say that it's rated under 6018 diagnostic code for chronic conjunctivitis. That's what dry eye
Yep.
falls under. You can get 10% if the condition is active, evaluated under the general rating formula of the eye. But the minimum rating for it, if it's active, is 10%. So if you have an active case, now what does active mean? Good luck.
Yeah.
I wish Dr. Sharma was here because that's a subjective term. But most of the time it's going to be 0% because it's not deemed active.
Excellent.
People submitting dry eye claims when they're 100%. That's a real thing.
I've seen it.
I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Actually. Well, no, and I'm a victim of
See.
that, like that nonsense too. Do you know how much of this stuff is in my brain that I can't get out? I just rambled off the exact diagnostic code for dry eye syndrome on just like that. I have nothing else in my brain, like except this stuff.
It's bread and butter, man. Let me see. I love this name, this screen name. I'm Screwed, 1955. Raider had an exam with EMG. Lower EMG noted several nerves impinged. Examiner marked complete paralysis and other issues. So how does one complete paralysis work?
Okay, so typically whenever you're dealing with lower extremity has mild, moderate, and severe. Sometimes with the sciatic nerve, it has moderate, severe in between there. Complete paralysis is severe. Like complete paralysis is where, like if we go to 85-20,
I think it's 40%.
80%.
80.
80% for the sciatic nerves. Complete paralysis is whenever we're talking about like foot drop. We're talking about like it doesn't work. Like it's as if you have a prosthetic on there. Complete paralysis proven by diagnostic test can give you the highest potential rating. Make sure anytime that you submit anything like that, make sure to submit that evidence separately so it stands out that you have that particular record there. But it means that if it's true and factual that you have got like foot drop, you could get you could get 80% for the sciatic nerve alone. If you've got other nerves involved, then you could get up to 5 separate ratings for the lower extremity radiculopathy. Like depending on if it's the sciatic, femoral, ilioinguinal, obturator nerve, and then I forget the fifth one off the top of my head. But yeah, so it helps your claim. It sucks in life, but it helps your claim a lot.
Yeah, and
I could
there's
probably go through my paperwork.
the neurological changes too. Are just changing the language of mild, moderate, severe to like level 0, 1, 2, 3, I think. And it does with gravity. Foot drop would be a good example of that. Just heads up to everyone. So
I haven't even looked at those yet because I don't look at changes until they've happened.
yeah,
I'll be
I think
honest
it's
with you.
more objective for the examiner to give a proper exam
Yeah, that'd be nice.
versus like, oh, you got 20%.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, foot drop is not fun either. So
No.
let me see. I could probably look through my paperwork and tell you what that fifth one was, but I don't know where it is. Let's see here. I'm curious about this one. I started this one here. What is shockwave therapy? This 60 eye watcher says it's the bomb. What is that?
I don't know.
Does anybody know?
I don't know if he's talking about mental stuff, but I had shockwave. I broke my wrist as a gnarly scar here, and you put pads on your stuff, and there's some nerve damage, and so it would stimulate my hand. I don't know if that's what he's talking about. Funny story about that. Broke my wrist, got a cast, got that cut the day before we deployed to my second deployment to Afghan. Got that cut, had a molded cast put on that was removable, and then I got this shockwave thing to put on my stuff. But what's funny in the infantry is everyone's stupid, and so we would turn the shockwave thing up to 10, which is like intense, right?
Oh yeah.
super intense, and people would.
You talking about the tens unit with
Well,
the
no,
little
it'd be
pads?
like one. Like you can set the pulses from 1,
Yeah.
which is like kind of, to 10.
There we
Shockwave
go.
is acoustic. Shockwave is acoustic.
My bad. But yeah, back to putting pads. You know, you put the pads on the wrist, except for my friends put pads on places that the sun doesn't
We're not the
shine.
wrist.
Put
Oh,
that-
I know.
Put
Like-
that thing to
like,
10,
yeah,
dude.
military
And oh my
numbers
gosh,
can't be done.
one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my
Oh,
life. But
man.
okay, my bad.
Okay.
Marines will be Marines.
Gentlemen, this is the time of the show whenever we put on Sarah McLaughlin in the background and say that for the low price of $9.99, you too can help a YouTuber with their camera battery. It's a tragedy whenever the battery goes out. We honestly empathize with the Civ Div, and please, if you can, your low payment can help him also afford a new battery for the love of mercy. Thank you.
All right.
This is the
Yeah.
second time
Yeah.
during the stream.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Clay. What are you using as a camera?
I use a Canon T9, T8 EOS Rebel.
Okay, one of those. Okay, one. So you can get
One
a
of
dummy
those.
battery. Yeah, get a dummy battery, and it's always hooked in. It acts as if there's a battery in there. It's just always connected to the wall.
Yeah. No, I know that.
He knows
I had
that.
the same issue. Trust me. Trust me.
He just
Yeah.
doesn't.
His Amazon's
Do
broken
it.
right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
I like it.
That's it.
I like.
Let's
I like
see.
my setup.
Let's see if we can take one more question here, and then I think we're close to 3 hours here. Oh gosh, where's Navy? I'll give Navy Cop another chance here. He's we didn't have Doc Sharma on here. Looking to refile a secondary claim under my sleep apnea rated for depression with a letter showing service connection from my ex. Denied in my initial claim, but letter is being added as new evidence.
It's not
Is there-
persuasive. So okay, so
I was told to do by VSO. That never followed. Okay,
Can you go back to
So I
the
don't know if you-
original?
absolutely. There you go.
What's the
So-
secondary? Oh, I'm sorry. Sleep apnea secondary to mental health.
It's fine. Okay, so here's the problem with this, and I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow on this, is negative evidence. Okay.
This is nothing.
Yeah. So unfortunately, what's going to happen is new evidence has to prove or disprove a matter at issue. So the matter at issue is that if you've already claimed sleep apnea secondary to depression and they said no, then you medically they said no. So the only way to overturn that negative evidence is by having new medical evidence that not only takes into account the reason for denial, but then provides new evidence to show why it's more medically persuasive and factually true that the depression does cause the sleep apnea. So you're having to do twice as much work and twice as much effort to prove it. And a letter is not going to make that happen. A letter that's not from a doctor doesn't overturn a doctor's medical opinion on that topic. Now, if you went with a new medical nexus, like saying my sleep apnea is due to my Terra exposures, these new Terra that I have, that would be a persuasive argument. But unfortunately, doctor wins. In paper rock doctor always wins this particular argument. And if the doctor said no, you need another doctor to overcome that. Okay. That's a tried and true fact that is consistent throughout all of the VA claims process.
Yeah, I'd say that like the finding a new, you said new medical nexus. I would just say finding another way
Medical
to claim
claim.
it, like sleep
Yeah.
apnea via Terra. Obesity as an intermediate step there would also be an option if it applies to you. Obviously, like I can't claim
Thick
obesity.
neck.
right?
Well, no, and you don't
Um,
have to necessarily be obese, but also neck thickness can also, like if you have
Yep.
just a huge neck, that
Hey, now,
you
hey,
know,
now,
you can
hold on.
be obese. Okay, I mean, all right. I wasn't really pointing, but let me look over here. Let me look
Yeah,
that
but
way. I'm just looking that way.
Totally agree on the lay evidence from someone else on a secondary denial for sleep apnea specifically is nothing. Like, it's nothing. Like I
And
wouldn't
it's
even.
be the rater. Like, you think it would be the rater that's going to decide this? No, it's going to be that examiner. They're going to send it to a new examiner, and that examiner is going to go, what did my buddy say? He said no. Okay, I'm going to go with no again because this doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
And then you've compounded negative evidence. So now you've got two separate doctors that say no. So now that the evidence is compounded, it takes even more evidence to overcome these two separate denials. So you have to, whenever you're doing this, like, and I say this with all respect, guys, please do not just hand jam in supplemental claim after supplemental claim after supplemental claim, because you will start digging yourself a hole that medical evidence cannot dig you out of. Because if 10 examiners have said no, then that's very persuasive to the rater. Like 10 people have said no to the exact same question.
10 raters too.
Yeah, 10 raters have also said no. Like 10 different people. And there's a misunderstanding about the tie goes to the veteran. There is no tie sometimes whenever you get a positive medical opinion. Sometimes if the positive medical opinion is sufficient, yes, the 11th examination can turn into a grant. But the rater has the ability to go, okay, well, wait a minute here. Let's really look at this 11th opinion, because I've got 10 other ones that are pretty darn solid that say this is a no-go. And then that's whenever the rater gets to overturn the medical opinion at times. Go, wait a minute, you didn't consider all these other 10 options, these other 10 reasons for denial. So it can be very challenging when individuals do that. That's all I'm saying with it. Sorry. Went off on the tirade.
It's all good, man. That's how we learn. Awesome.
That's what we do best, is answer questions. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are getting more questions than I've gotten on my channel, so that's cool. I don't know, like, how do you all know where the cutoff is, or do you just have to say, hey, sorry guys?
You mean answering
you said
questions?
time limit.
As far as like you set a time limit. Okay.
Yeah, usually an hour, depending on how I feel, hour and a half ish.
Yeah.
For me, I usually go to my battery dies. Then it's like, okay, later, which is like
Well,
an
it's
hour.
already gone twice, man. So I don't know what to say.
Well, I'm here for you, Vic.
tonight.
I'm here for Vic. All right.
No, I truly appreciate it, man. So I'll tell you, I think, like, as we're nearing almost 3 hours, I do want to thank you all for coming on, and and I'll shoot an email out to Salty Old Marine and Doc Sharma as well. It has been great, man. It has been a wealth of information. I've learned a lot, and it has just been a great way to bring other folks in the veteran community to build that tribe and camaraderie, and see, how we all kind of fit within this sphere of YouTube. So I truly appreciate all of you for coming on, and everybody in the comments as well. You guys kept the comments going. We couldn't get to everybody's stuff. It was kind of like just a chat amongst us as well, but wanted to keep you all in the loop as well to see, kind of give you some background stuff on what we're about. So I truly appreciate everybody in the chat. I see a lot of familiar names on there. So thank you all for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And I think the veteran community should have more collaborations like this, at least on, I'm going to say the phrase, the good side of the YouTube community. But to each their own. I think that's a good time to end the stream.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Deuces.
I agree with you, Clay. All right. Thanks everybody for coming by. And thank you all for joining us on this Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.